January 10th, 2023. I am at Joel Pearl, and it's time to get in the weeds. A wonderful Wednesday is upon us. And today, ladies and gentlemen, and friends beyond the binary, the sponsor of this video is nobody yet. But if you donate a super chat of $150, then today's show will be sponsored by you. Publicly funded. That's us here at Fightful Overbooked. Getting that right out of the way. Thumbs up and donating super chats and subscribing to the channel. We're just getting it right off the bat, right off the hill. Jeremy Lambert's queuing up the fireworks for you who will donate your big $150 sponsorship. Whatever you want, within reason. Obviously, don't say you can talk about how much you love Jinder Mahal for your $150 sponsorship. That's what you get today with your sponsorship dollars. Jeremy Lambert is here. How you doing, buddy?
I'm fine.
How fine are you?
That's all I've got. I'm fine.
How fine?
I'm good. I got 2022 Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche hoodie on. I was minding my own business yesterday, watching Nathan McKinnon highlights, and I missed a bunch of stuff. What happened yesterday, Joel?
Nothing really happened. The internet was totally sane and nobody had anything to say about anything. You know what? We are so jazzed for today. We're both wearing stuff we love. I'm wearing my Motorhead t-shirt because we're going to have a couple of guests today.
Nothing about wrestling.
No, nothing about wrestling. Actually, this one is kind of related to wrestling. The first blog, let's get this going, is 10:40 Eastern. So in about 35 minutes, we're going to have TNA Knockout Jody Threat coming to join us. We're looking forward to talking to her about the Ultimate X match coming up at Hard to Kill and a plethora of other conversational topics as we do. Jody Threat coming back to join us this morning. And at 11:30, this was a bit of a last-minute addition that we're very excited to do. M-Dog, Matt Cross, is joining us. 11:30 a.m. He's going to be wrestling at Smash Wrestling's Any Given Sunday this Sunday on the 14th of January in London. They're doing two shows. They're doing one on Saturday in Toronto, one on Sunday in London. Matt Cross is on the London show on the 14th. He faces Von Vertigo. M-Dog joins us at 11:30 a.m. Eastern.
I would hope that the show called Any Given Sunday is held on the Sunday, Joel. Tremendous bit if they're like, Any Given Sunday, come on Saturday.
Well, let's take a look real quick because now I just look at it because they say AGS. They condense it and call it by the name of the show. So there's two shows. It's a weekend of shows. Yeah. There's a Toronto show and then there's a London show. But anyway, Matt Cross is on the London show. He will be joining us this weekend or today. Wow, this weekend. I'm all over the place. We're done. It's over. I can go home. And then of course we'll talk about the wrestling. So we have some time. I don't even know where to start. Oh no, it's Any Given Saturday and then it's Any Given Sunday.
Yeah,
so Matt will join us to talk about Any Given Sunday because
they should hold the shows, but the show on Saturday should be called Any Given Sunday, and the show on Saturday or the show on Sunday should be called Any Given Saturday, just to screw with people.
Oh, which show are you here for? Who's on first? Oh, and I'm wearing the Motorhead t-shirt because Matt Cross is a big Motorhead fan. That's why. No,
is he?
He is. Yes, we'll talk about that in the interview. I have a question for him about that.
I'm so excited to talk to Matt Cross, M-Dog 20. Like people know, like I don't get super excited about doing interviews. It's not that like it's like, oh, I'm not a fan of these people or I don't have fun with the interviews and stuff, but like it's a job. I view this as we're doing a job. We have an interview to do. And so we're going to talk to these people and hopefully it's a fun conversation for everybody. Like M-Dog 20 is just someone who's been around for a while. Part of my favorite promotion, Wrestling Society X. Sadly teamed with Teddy Hart, so I don't know how much Wrestling Society X stories we're going to get out of him.
Honestly, you might get really interesting ones. Yeah. Situation.
I'm excited to ask about the Backyard Wrestling game, though. There was a time where we used Twitch, and I'd play that game on Twitch, so I'm excited to talk about that. He wrestled MJF at the original All In. Like, M-Dog 20's done some shit, man. Like, he has done some shit, so I'm excited. Oh, I went, sorry, 5 minutes. I never didn't realize.
Now it's 5 minutes. What did you do?
Sorry.
It's okay. Matt Cross has been around. M-Dog has been around this business. It's wild to think about. But we're looking forward to having him join us at 11:30, and of course, Jody Threat will join us first at 10:40. It's one of those days where we're interviewing everyone because we're doubling up since I'm not here on Friday. SB3, I think, will be joining us on Friday, unless we're gonna pull the rug out from under him.
It's SP3, everybody.
Oh, you just ruined the surprise. Could have done a whole bit, but it's just SP3.
I'm still going to ask you to set up the show because I've gotten out of the habit of just not doing that, and I don't like doing it.
I could do that. I got plenty of stuff to do before I leave. I've redone the TNA stuff, which is good, like the graphics for our post shows.
I saw that. I saw that when I entered the room here today. I saw those new graphics. Like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I figured we had to update it, considering it's no longer the Impact post show. It'll be the TNA post. I see everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, I know.
I'm telling you, how about this for $150 super chat? Not only do you get to sponsor the show, but you also get to direct us to talk about the thing that is currently the elephant in the chat. Oh man, I need someone on YouTube to be a big wrestling fan and just call themselves Elephant, so that every time they show up in the chat, they're just like, "Hey guys, I'm in the room. Let's talk about me." And then the chat inevitably doesn't talk to them.
Joel, I got a very important alert. Third Eye Blind and Yellow Card are coming to a town near me.
Wow.
New Kids on the Block with Paula Abdul and DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Did you know that New Kids on the Block had a bunch of hits, and I had Chinese food last night?
I did. New Kids on the Block also suck a lot of dick. Boy girl groups make me sick.
That's a D12, isn't it?
Eminem, yeah.
Alanis
Morissette is coming to town.
Oh, you ought to know. Let me tell you my favorite Alanis Morissette story that has nothing to do with Alanis herself. I'm walking around Buenos Aires, and I am just like enjoying the sights, and I walk into this local t-shirt shop, and they're playing Alanis on the thing, and I turn to the guy at the cash register. I'm like, "Oh, she's from my hometown." And he's like, "I don't understand your ass because I don't speak Spanish. I don't speak English." And I'm like, "Son of a bitch." So that's basically my connection to Alanis Morissette from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
Isn't it ironic, Joel?
Don't you think?
That Eric Bischoff could have just used cage match.
All right.
Look how I set that up. I'm a professional, people.
Oh my God. How about my dad thinks of you, by the way? He likes you fine, but like he likes me better. He's been watching the show, apparently. I'm sorry.
Your dad?
Yeah. He was talking mad smack about you.
Why? What'd I do?
He doesn't think you're as good as I am at this, but clearly you're very good at this.
Well, that's bias.
I listen.
That's fair.
Hey, fave this. Don't tell anyone, especially chat. Keep this to yourselves. I did put Jeremy over to my dad. Okay.
You're a better host than I don't like hosting. That's why I don't want to do it.
I said to him, and this is just the way it is. There is nobody else that could host this show with me, because Jeremy is the person who reads and not just reads, but listens to all the stuff that these wrestlers and these media people are saying, and he's transcribing it. And if he's anything like me, once you transcribe it, like, it's stuck in your head, you remember this shit. And then he watches the wrestling, and then he talks about the so there's nobody else that I could do this with. It's right. He's making fun of me for that reason. Here's $20. He's your friend. But anyway, I
don't read. Apparently, I start some of this nonsense, Joel, because
that's what I was getting at. And then sometimes Jeremy becomes the crux of the issue in that his trolling ass. My dad doesn't use Twitter because he's smart.
He's smart. Yeah.
He's very smart in that regard. Jeremy starts Twitter beefs. Jeremy continues Twitter beefs.
What I do?
Jeremy lights matches and just throws them on gasoline fires and says, "No, I'm gonna go away now. We'll watch the Avalanche."
That's literally what I was doing. If people, I wasn't even, I mean, I was watching Nathan McKinnon highlights, but one of my 12 kids had something to do last night. And that's actually what I was doing. I was at a thing, and I was just bored. And so I was shit posting on Twitter. People were in my DMs of like, "You troublemaker." I was like, yeah, I mean, out people. Our pal Shaq, the Shaq, was like, "Look what you started." Aaron Mercer. This one was public. Aaron Mercer was messaging. Independent wrestler Aaron Mercer. He rules. Go check out his matches. He's injured right now. Best wishes to him. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm just like, "Dude, I'm bored. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm just
It's my night off, so I figured I'd start a fire.
Wasn't even a night off. I had to do an interview. I covered NXT parts. I don't have nights off. Everyone knows that. But like I was just so all right, to give everybody background on how this works. This is Tony's fault. It's Tony Khan's fault, not mine. Tony replies to some USA Network intern and is like, "Let me tell you about Cage Match, brother, and how Jinder Mahal hasn't won a singles match in a year. You must be thrilled that this match is happening on your network." And then he's like, "There's this double standard. People are mad about Hook going after the world title and not mad about Jinder going after the world title." I'm like, I saw plenty of people mad about Jinder getting some random ass title shot. I didn't really see anybody mad about Hook. I saw people being like, "Yeah, Hook, hell yeah, let's go."
We sat here on Monday and I was just like, I don't see why we're doing it, but like, sure, I get the justification. And like, we talked about why the match makes sense, at least from how the match plays out type of sense. Neither of us were just like, this is stupid and this is awful.
Yeah, I think Joe should squash him because I think Joe should be like, "Yeah, there's levels to this game, kid." But like, I didn't have an issue with the challenge at all. I was like, "Cool, that's a cool challenge." So Tony is creating an argument in his own head, which rules, of the double standard in wrestling. And so I do my bit of like, it's not often said, but when you really think about it, and like Tony had already called out USA and caused a big fuss, so I was like, Tony Khan was right. I was just jumping on a trend because I thought it was funny. It's funny to me. It's a game to me. Haha. So I posted that and people were mad about that and everything. But then Eric Bischoff jumps in. This is the real problem with wrestling is Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo and all these people who haven't been relevant in wrestling for 20 years think their opinion actually matters. I've done this rant before. Their opinion, just because they've done something 20 years ago, doesn't mean their opinion on things matters now. It matters just as much as like my opinion. At least I'm plugged in and actually watch the product to know what's going on. These guys don't even do that. They're like, "Well, back in my day, things were like this." Yeah, 20 years ago, times have changed, buddy. So Eric Bischoff jumps in of like, "Is this true? Abaddon got a title shot when they returned and didn't win a match." And Tony was like, "No, that's not true at all. They won this 4-way, blah, blah, blah." And I saw that tweet and I was like, "Oh, I can make a joke out of this." And so I was just like, Eric would have known this if he used Cage Match, which is factually correct. Cage Match would have told Eric this. If he would have just looked at Cage Match, he would have seen Abaddon had won a match before they'd gotten their title shot. And Tony, of course, it popped him because you just got to reference Cage Match. That was the most hilarious part of this is he replies to the USA Network intern because they reference Cage Match, not all the other replies. Ignored all those. You reference Cage Match, Tony's like, he's either going with you, like, "Yeah, Cage Match, let's go," or he's like, "Don't disparage the great name of Cage Match." So Tony replied to that, and it was just like the irony. I figured it would draw a response out of Tony because he loves Cage Match. It popped me. I was so proud of myself when I was like, Eric would have known that if he used Cage Match. I was so proud. Oh, and then Dorks. Yeah. Oh God, I'm dying over here. Then Dorks were in my mention arguing about a bunch of nonsense. I didn't pay a single attention to them. I was watching Nathan McKinnon highlights. I was at practice with 3 of the 5 kids, 3 of the 18 kids, however many kids. I can't keep track of all of them.
They just
I was
went
doing a
around the
bunch of
compound.
I was doing a bunch of other stuff. I wasn't paying attention to these idiots in my replies, but appreciate the rub, Tony. That sounds wrong.
We do that a lot here.
Yeah, all these dorks. Gosh, get a life. I think he does. Honestly, I do think like he's just got the note. It's just like vanity searching cage match. He doesn't care what anybody says about him. Just like who is talking bad about cage match.
Remember when there was a time when, well, it still happens to this day, people were like, WBD has a stake in AEW and that's why the partnership lasts. And so, we don't, that's not the case, but that was a long-standing rumor. I'm starting to think the new rumor should be Tony Khan has a long-standing stake in cage match.
Good. Like people want to joke about cage match and like because Tony references it and is like it got a high rating on cage match, like that shouldn't be like the bar on this kind of stuff. Like it's good fan feedback, but also you gotta realize who's voting on this stuff. I do think it is good to gauge like interest in certain things. I truly think that. Again, I don't think it should be used to the level maybe Tony uses it sometimes. But like Cage Match is legitimately one of the most useful websites in the wrestling space. I use it almost every article I write because I'm like, when did they wrestle? Who did they wrestle last? How did they get there? Like I always use Cage Match. If you're not using Cage Match to do research and things like that, you're honestly you're selling yourself short. Like you're just not. Maybe you have a Will Washington brain who doesn't actually need Cage Match, but like people like me do.
Cage Match Washington over there. Will Cage Match. No, I like this one. Will Chisholm, though, sent a super chat. It's not $150, so you don't get to sponsor the show, but thank you for your super chat. My wife saw all this stuff and said, everybody just looks childish, and she would never, ever date me if I acted like any of all these grown men. And somehow she hit me with a bullet.
Bro, you got a stray, Will. Damn.
But like to a certain degree, it's true. I look at it and I'm just like, oh, we're doing this again, huh? Okay. And like Amanda Huber put up the gif of her like closing the laptop for the day, and a bunch of others just being like, and that's the end of that story. And that was the day.
It was so stupid. My wife encourages it for some reason. She just calls me a troublemaker and is like, "What are you starting now? What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm just tweeting." What? What do you want me to do? Yeah, she reads. My wife reads the comments and stuff and sends me the stuff. Like, but the people who are like, Tony Khan's not gonna fuck you, bro. And I'm like, all right, I don't want Tony Khan to fuck me. I'm good. I don't know what you. People are so weird about this stuff.
People love using that particular reply.
Yeah,
because it worked like one time in the history of all comebacks, and now it's just, oh, got this one in the chamber just in case I can use it. And it's like, well, you didn't use it right.
I don't know if I'm TMIing too much. I have a very healthy sex life that doesn't involve Tony Khan. Okay, everybody.
Are you sure?
I mean, do I need to get confirmation?
No, for Christ's sake, no. I don't know what masks you do or do not. I don't know what your safe words are. Okay, the safe word tonight is PK. Anyway, this is it, man, and this is why like don't argue about it in the chat, because like I had 2 seconds where I was just like, and Jeremy and I talked about it in the DMs last night. We're just like, I was like, this is just stupid, and I'm just kind of bored of the way that they all talk to each other when they get spicy on socials. It's like, it's just childish, and they just push each other like children on the playground. Like I'm over it. But at the same time, like I understand, for those who see it as a joke, I understand the comedy. For those who take it too seriously, I'm just like, all right, y'all need to take a step back, go offline, take a walk, whatever you need to do, get away from it. Get a Subway sandwich. They don't sponsor this show. Go get it. I don't care. They gave me
don't
coupons.
do that. Like,
I would too. Coupons have gone downhill for them though, but I gotta say, either way, go do something that makes you happy. That's not that. If arguing makes you happy, find a new hobby.
So we can actually have a discussion about, yeah, Subway's gross. I'm with, you pull up the.
No, this is the gross Subway. That's right. Subway is one of those things where it's like you're stuck in the airport at 3 a.m. and it's.
I haven't had Subway in forever.
There's a Subway down the street. It's walkable. I do it sometimes.
Okay.
That's fine.
There's a Subway close to us, and like I just never go there. We can argue or debate the merits of like what Tony is doing, because I don't want to speak for you, Joel, but I feel like you find what Tony does. What's the word I'm looking for? Off-putting How do you feel about what Tony does?
I think off-putting is a good way to
Okay.
start. But when we say off-putting, it's just like, I think in the moment, because you talk about different reactions people have, and I talked to a therapist once upon a time. The therapist that I still speak to now, we talked about like fight or flight, And when I read a Tony tweet that's just combative, I'm just like, I'm flight. I'm out of here. I don't need this. This is not part of my personal experience. And like, this is just a rich guy defending himself and saying silly shit. On top of that, and I'll let you continue in a minute, I I don't have that connection to Tony, nor do I care, because when I hear something like, "Oh, we've been fighting and down since day one" ish, I don't I don't care. It's like, no, you're not fighting. Like, when Jeremy and I criticize the product, that's not us coming after AEW and saying it's got to go. And the people who do that have absolutely no, irons in that fire. They just like to talk for talk's sake. So like, why give those people credence? It's like Dave Meltzer replying to the 0 follower guys. Why do that? Like, what are you're just stoking fires that don't need to be stoked. It's useless. You're not helping with the spread of disinformation, bringing it home. Like, Sean will do that. And Sean claps back when people go after Sean. I get that. But like, when Sean claps back on misinformation, I get that. Doesn't matter how many followers they have. That's important. Clapbacks over like 5,400 seats in an arena for a Michael Landsberg interview that no one watched in 1999 unless you watch it live. Love Michael Landsberg, by the way. I'm a Canadian. I have to. I'm predisposed. But I just don't see the reason to go back and forth over this like dick flinging contest.
It pops me. It's hilarious to me because like, AEW, they were founded on just being the rally against WWE, the alternative thing. And it's like, we're not gonna be like WWE, we're gonna be the alternative. Like the whole Bullet Club invasion of Raw and everything, like that's kind of the genesis of AEW. So I understand why Tony kind of uses that as a rallying cry type of thing. I truly do. Tony grew up in the message board era. It's no secret he was a message board poster. He is used to this kind of stuff. Should the president, CEO, whatever his title is, owner of the second biggest company act like this? I don't know. That's not for me to say. I don't think it's. But if you want to say like Tony is wrong for that, then okay, then Dana White is wrong for how he runs it. He's the owner, president of the biggest MMA company in the world. He goes on Twitter acting like this. He is in interviews acting the way he acts. So it's really no different than that. If you really want to get down to brass tacks on things, I think Tony has every right to defend himself on stuff. I do. I think he has, especially if it's comments of like if it's something like Bischoff and they're trying to hit and everything. Like I think Tony has every right to defend himself on that. I don't think that I don't always agree when Tony again he's quote tweeting a USA intern who like is just who did that tweet to pop themselves, and then Tony is going back after it. But he's doing it to drum up interest, right? Like that's the whole point of this. He's drumming up interest. Does it work? I don't know. I think it does to an extent because he gets people of like, oh, what's Tony talking about? Okay, here's Azarian saying it's not an intern. All right, it's somebody who is not an intern, but I don't think they're WWE affiliated. Are they, Zarian? And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Do they work for WWE or they just like randomly work for the USA Network? Let me know if whatever information you have on that. But like Tony's just drumming up interest. That's why he's like, watch AEW Dynamite type of thing. And now we'll see if it works or not. No idea. But the AEW fan base likes it. And the WWE people who are going to dislike it, yeah, he works for USA. Okay, he's
Yeah,
not an intern.
that we knew. We always knew it was USA
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. I just it's funnier to say intern, but I apologize for calling the person an intern.
Like, where are they on the scale? They're not in C-suite. Are they a manager? Are they middle management? Are they like, let's do this? This is like the Tony announcement scale. Let's get the idea of who's running the Twitters here, and really just take them to task based on their seniority.
Like, Tony's trying to drum up interest, and the AEW fan base enjoys it, and the WWE fan base are gonna hate anything Tony does anyway. So whatever, just do it. Who cares? He thinks it's funny. I think he's doing it for sports. I don't know how serious he takes this. Like, Tony doesn't sleep anyway, so it's like, oh, maybe he should be doing better stuff with his time. Like, I don't know. What is Tony supposed to do at 6 o'clock on a Tuesday? What's he supposed to be doing?
Lucha blog.
Yeah.
We've already established this. When he's offline, he is online with Lucha blog. This is so going back to your point about engagement. This guy he's a numbers guy. Tony is a numbers guy, right? That's his Jags work, his analytics. The tweet that he sent an hour before the Hook tweet was about, thanking them for 5 years AEW has been around, and they're going to be in Jacksonville tonight for Dynamite at Daly's Place. And they, he says honoring the most dominant star in Daly's Place history, Brody Lee, and that's great. And like the tweet in terms of impressions did 321,000. That's just the views on Twitter, according to them. And then the tweet, the double standard, Hook is a 21 record, Jinder did this and that. Dynamite tomorrow on TBS, 7.3 million. And that's the difference between, unfortunately, taking a shot versus being happy you're here. And that's why I get the sport analogy you're saying. He's doing it for sport. You can see a big difference in the engagement when he takes a shot. And again, this one where he takes a shot at Jinder, I don't mind that. I think it's like that one. I was just like, all right, cool. Like,
dude, Jinder replied and then deleted it because somebody probably told him like, "Hey, let's not give them any attention."
Yeah, don't give him air. That's fine, whatever. They want to have fun. It's cool. And then he goes after USA Network, and that's when it was just like, all right, we're done here. Him and Eric did the back and forth that you caused, and here we are today. So, I mean, really, do you blame Raj at the end of the day, or do you blame?
Sure, blame everything on Raj.
Sure, let's go. Anyway, he's not welcome. But the point being here, there's a reason to do it. The Jinder tweet didn't bug me. It was just like going after people and calling everyone bots who disagrees with you. Not that he does that, but sometimes that's the way it feels when Tony tries to defend his product.
I think Tony is creating, again, I think he's like creating an argument in his own head about this Jinder and Hook stuff, because
yes,
from what I saw, people were like, hey, why is Jinder getting this shot? He hasn't done anything. This is stupid. And for the most part, I saw Hook being like, this is cool. I'm sure the WWE fans were like, Hook, why is he getting this shot? And then they like the Jinder stuff. This is just the company. Different. Of course, the fans who like AEW are going to like the stuff AEW does, and the fans who like WWE are going to like the stuff WWE does, and they're going to hate the other thing. Those are the people you should not be worrying about at all. And I'm not sure if Tony really is worried about them. I think he truly is just trying to rally the AEW fans more. And I don't think he cares if he pisses off these WWE fans that are not going to watch the product anyway. But now, at least, hey, they're talking about AEW, and controversy creates cash, and there's no such thing as bad publicity, and blah, 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 blah. I think it's hilarious. I don't put much stock into Twitter, though, because I do my jokes and I go away from Twitter. So I think it's funny that Tony does all of this. Like, I don't know if anybody is like really upset about it. If you really take it seriously, like, is it really hurting AEW? I think that's the real question. Like, do you, not necessarily you, Joel, but if you want to answer, you in the chat, you listening, do you truly think like he is hurting AEW when he does this, and he is like turning off potential fans when he does this? Because if you do, and you have an argument for why you think he does, then I think that's the real question, and the real like, all right, maybe you should pull that back a little bit.
So first of all, I do think that this is something they should do.
That would
absolutely bring someone in, call them like Minder Jahal or something like that.
Bring in both Bollywood boys. What are they up to?
Yeah, they're working.
Both of them.
Yeah,
sorry to them.
That's
But
fine. They'd love it. But anyway, it's a payday. That's fine. And honestly, like stuff like that would be hilarious. While the chat tells me what they think, I will give you my perspective. Seeing this doesn't turn me off from Dynamite tonight. If this were to happen in the middle of Dynamite, when I'm like, shouldn't you be running a show? Like, don't you have other things to worry about? And I'm also trying to enjoy the show that you're putting on. That's when I get a little turned off of Dynamite. I don't personally turn it off because let's face it, I don't have a life. Other people might turn it off and like go hug their loved ones or spend time at a bar. I don't know what y'all do with life because I don't have one, but that's really when I just get turned off, is when the stuff goes offside the screen and totally takes away from the show itself. This doesn't take away from the show. He's talking about his show. He's justifying why he did something, and then he takes a shot across the bow. Fine by me. The Bischoff stuff I've already purged. I don't give a shit. But like live on the moment, if it's in the moment, he's taking a shot, I'm just like, oh, why do we have to do this? Why are we focusing on the show we're putting on? That's when I get turned off.
Fair. Like, I understand that argument. Like, I get that. I don't think he's really turning off fans, at least with this stuff. You know, there are previous examples of him doing things that's like, all right, dude, let's not do that, Tony. Let's not do that one. That one's a little bit of like, why are we doing this? But this one is just like, hey, USA Network wants to take a silly shot at Cage Match and Tony. Tony can clap back. That's fine. And then it starts a whole big thing. And okay, fine. But like, yeah, I don't think this is a turnoff. Like, again, look at the Monday Night Wars and the stuff that we're doing. Like, we're going to be mad about tweets? Really?
Someone had put out there, if ECW existed in time of Twitter, y'all would be done. And it's true. If ECW,
Heyman would have like
we would have, Heyman wouldn't be around today. There would be it would have been game over. Just would have been over and out. And that's just and I get that the game evolves, it changes, and life changes with it. And so as a result, like people will react to things based on their experience, and that's fine. And like the chat seems to be saying most of the same stuff, like not turned off, it was silly, it seems unproductive. I get that. People saying, I watch for the wrestlers, it's a bit embarrassing, but it's not a turn off. And that's kind of where I'm coming from too. It's like listen, despite what we joke about on the show, I do enjoy watching AEW, especially when it's good and there's a strong episode. I'm a fan. I want to see it succeed. So when stuff like this starts in the middle of a show, I'm just like, oh, not now. That's when I'm just like, it's hard to be a fan of wrestling in general sometimes.
he typically doesn't do much of that during the show, at least recently. Usually during the show, it's all just justified, this is awesome chant. And
it's
that's
rare. And it's what I'm talking about is rare. And that's why I'm saying like when it happens, it's not a very common thing, but when it's happened, it's just been like, ugh. I'm sure I could point to a time, but honestly, not doing this. TK studied Heyman. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And this is, by the way, Will Chisholm sent a super chat, not $150, so he's not getting the sponsorship, but he did say, I blame Cody for all of this just because.
Fair. We can all blame Cody.
That's true. This is his comeback for not finishing the story.
Cody should reply to Tony.
He should. Oh my God. Could you imagine? And it's just the Forrest Gump wave after WrestleMania. If he, oh my God. Cody,
well, after WrestleMania, he's not gonna be able to finish the story. So the wave might be like, hey, I want to come back.
That's what I'm saying.
Home.
Start the rumor mill, get the trolls off. I just planned for Mania. Oh, Cody, I know you're watching. I know you watch the show. Let's do this.
I don't see the big deal. I thought it was hilarious. So the one thing I didn't appreciate is that dorks were in my mentions, and I blame Tony Khan.
Do you mute tweets?
Do I what?
Do you mute your tweets?
No, I just don't pay attention to them.
See, I mute often because I'm like, argue with the wall. Just bye. And then maybe if
I mute people.
Yeah, I do that too. But sometimes I will mute tweets if they start taking off to a certain degree. I'm like, 1, 2 thing. Okay, I'm gonna stop this. So there you go. Jody Threat's gonna join us in a few minutes, and we will have a fun conversation that's not about Twitter with her. I promise.
Just ask Jody nothing but Twitter questions.
Could you imagine? I mean, I'm gonna ask her one thing that she had tweeted about, but other than that, I don't have any questions about Twitter.
That's all we're gonna do.
I love this. Yeah, people calling you a basement dweller.
I'm in my bedroom. Yeah. The people are very, very weird when they reply to some of this stuff and they think that like they've really hit you with a strong diss. And it's like I'm very transparent about my life and what goes on. Like, there's a I'm not lying about things.
Believe me, we don't think you're lying about the certain things you've already talked about on today's show.
No, I know, but like these people in the mentions are who clearly, because clearly these people like don't follow me or they don't watch the show, which is
Yes.
fine. Like they're under no obligation to do so. But like when they tweet these things, like they think that it's like I don't know what they think because I can't get in their brain, but like I assume they think like, "Oh, really got him with this one." And it's like, "No, I'm pretty honest about what I do and who I am and stuff. Like this is not some cool diss that you think it is. Like if anything, you were the one like apparently trying to look cool because you said Tony Khan's not going to fuck you." It's like I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. I don't like good on them that they tweet this stuff, but I truly do not know like what they're trying to accomplish with this. Maybe should we invite these people on the show?
Never. Absolutely not. I do not want that. I don't want that for anything.
Why?
Because that feels like a problem. And some of these people already have their own shows that have 2 views on the internet. And sure, good for them.
Nah.
They're trying. There are enough people getting, we didn't even touch on the Royal Rumble BS with the media credential stuff. Well, I don't even want to, but it's a similar conversation. If you're unhappy in your spots, then work on it. Work on your spots. Do better. Get better. You got it. I promise.
I don't know if these people have a show or not. I don't know who these people are that
Some of them
reply
do.
to me.
Some of them do. I can tell you some of them
Oh,
do.
do they? Okay.
Yes, some of them do. Not
'Cause
all.
I don't click like the profiles or anything. I don't even see the tweets. People send me this stuff. My wife sends me this stuff. Like
That's the best
she
part.
thinks it's funny.
I mean, that's just how it goes. You eventually get to a point where you're just like, I'm gonna let someone else handle my tweeting. I'm gonna let somebody else handle my internet issues. How's that?
Nah, I'm not giving up my Twitter. They're gonna have to pull it from me.
All right. Well, I don't think our guest needs any more pulling. If she's ready, she can give us a thumbs up. This is my favorite part of the show where I wait until people are ready to go. And that's fine. This is my favorite thing to do. Very, very excited to welcome our guest. And when she's ready, she's going to let us know. She's going to give me a thumbs up. And then we're going to introduce her and get her excited and get ourselves excited. There's a thumbs up. I'm very excited. This Saturday is TNA Hard to Kill in Las Vegas at the Palms. She's going to be involved in the Knockouts Ultimate X match. She is also the only redhead knockout in this match. We're looking forward to Jody Threat joining us now. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you? We're good.
Good. Thanks for joining us again, Jody. Before we get started, I'll let Joel ask the first question, but I got to get this out of the way. Ricky Shane Page says hi.
Oh, hey Ricky. It's been a while.
He said he's not seen you in a while. He saw you were coming on the show, and he said make sure you tell Jody that I said hi. So I want it on the record that we have said Ricky Shane Page has said hi.
What a guy.
When he thought you were going to join us on Monday. So here we are.
No.
Friday.
No, he was on with us. Oh, was that Friday? Oh,
yes.
I don't know anymore. The days are all running together, and it's time. How have you been since the last time we saw you on the show? And also, how have you been preparing for your time off coming into Ultimate X this Saturday at Hard to Kill?
Well, I've been busy as usual since the last time. So many shows all over the country. Great stuff. And preparation for this Saturday. Lots of upper body strength, let me tell you. And what's kind of neat, as a child, people don't know this about me, but I was excellent at monkey bars. So I'm going to have to break out those young Jody skills.
Have you gotten any advice from anybody on the Ultimate X match? There's only been one Knockouts Ultimate X, but a lot of the men's versions of Ultimate X. So is anybody giving you any advice on this match?
Yeah, I've been talking to Shelly as well as Josh about like their take on it and how I should be preparing. They told me get the X. The focus is to get the X. Don't worry about anything else. You got to toss some people off. It's fine. Just get the X. So I have been seeking advice in that way because, as you said, like this is kind of like a rare thing. My first go at one of these, so we'll see what happens. I feel like this is like my ballpark, though, like a wild match, you know.
I was going to say, given that the X is also traditionally red, matches your hair. It's a great.
I'm just saying, it's almost like
It's kismet. It's meant to be with the X.
Let's talk about the last time you were with us. We talked about your acting and working on your acting skills while you've been with TNA and working with the television product. Have you been able to focus more on that? Can you give us an update on how your acting chops have been ameliorating?
I've had more opportunities to work out of the ring, but on screen, which has been very cool. I don't know if you've been following along with the storyline with Kylan King and myself, where she was accusing me of hurting her tag team partner. It wasn't, for the record. So just kind of working along and having some sort of substance has been really helpful, as well as, I don't know if you saw our throwback show where I got to be Red Letter. That was kind of cool, getting out of my usual character and trying out something new. So yeah, I'd say I've had a few opportunities to work on that. And I'm feeling a little more in my comfort zone when it comes to that sort of stuff, which is cool.
I was going to ask about the IPWF thing that goes on and being Red Letter and putting that character together. Like how do you find that character, basically?
I was given this character.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. They were just like, how do you feel about this? And I was like, yes, I will accept this. And I just kind of ran with it.
All right, can we ask who presented the character to you?
It was the writing team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward 1 month. We're back in the Don Kolov Arena. It's Final Resolution.
Yes.
You had a match with Lish. It was an unexpected matchup. Talk to me about that. You got a big hometown welcome, and the match was a lot of fun. I was there live to watch you guys do that.
Yeah, it was good. Like you said, a bit unexpected, but I used to be a Girl Scout, so be prepared. I was prepared. As you saw, I came out victorious. Lish is always causing trouble. Got to shut that down, especially in my hometown. Funny fact, too, that arena, I train there occasionally as well. So you're literally throwing shade on my ground. I have to do something about it. I don't mean to have to, but really Santino, too, kind of throwing me into the situation.
Just as a follow-up, there was kind of a weird moment where in the match earlier, there was the tag match where Alicia's husband, Eddie Edwards, got busted open, and it was it wasn't supposed to happen. He had just landed wrong, and they were kind of stalling for time a little bit. Did that kind of affect anything as you were kind of getting ready, or with Lish, or anything like that? I'm curious, because live in the crowd, it was, we all saw he was bleeding.
Eddie is a professional. And so we have such a professional team. There was no worry in my mind, and I knew whatever was going to happen, everything would be fine. So I was not stressed out at all. I did hear there was blood. I heard people yelling for towels. So I knew something had happened, but truly, like at Impact, now TNA, we have such a professional team. There was no worry. I knew that the show would go on, however that looked, and it went well. In my favor.
I want to ask about the kind of the overall state of the knockouts division, but the knockouts in relation to like blending and mixing with the men, because we saw in the Call Your Shot gauntlet at Bound for Glory, which you were part of, Jordan Grace won that. And in a lot of other companies, the men and the women don't interact in the ring like that. In Impact, it's more commonplace. So I just want to get your thoughts on where the knockouts are in relation to the men, and then just wrestling with the men in Impact, which you don't really see on a lot of other national companies.
Well, I could tell you that our division, the knockouts division, is not like second place at all. We feel very equal with the men in the locker room, and the fact that we are able to do intergender stuff on TV kind of speaks to that, that the respect is there and the stories are being made accordingly. And truly, I couldn't be happier to be a part of a company with those ideologies and that respect that exists, and that's not just a management. Like, you really do feel it amongst like the wrestlers as well. So I love it. It's a great locker room. The culture there obviously really does value equality and equity and that sort of thing. Very cool.
Absolutely. I want to ask, we're at new year. It's a new era. We're coming back to TNA. I want your thoughts on that, of course, but also a new Jody Threat.
I mean, am I new? I don't know. I got a few new shirts. New gear. I'll be debuting new gear. That's exciting. I've been sitting on it for a while. So I think that will be kind of cool, but I won't say it's a new Jody. Maybe a more wild Jody, more finely tuned Jody, but not new. But yeah, TNA. We're TNA now. That's pretty cool, right?
And did you any memories of TNA?
So fun fact, growing up, I did not watch wrestling. So I binge watch wrestling, as you know, most of this generation does with any sort of media. And so I can't say that there's like any like past memories, but I do know that there is such nostalgic feelings around TNA and that brand and what that meant to wrestling. So I think that's pretty cool. And I will say that in my binge watching, I really did like TNA.
I have a very important question to ask.
Yes.
When you were at the hardware store, what kind of snow shovel did you buy? Because I'm in Toronto. We had snow yesterday. It's gone.
It is gone. We don't have to use a shovel.
Yeah. So what's going on? How big of a shovel are we getting here?
We got the one that was like a wide boy. I don't want
Yeah.
you know, like I don't know what this is in inches. I would say like 2 feet. I got a big one because it's literally just a path for Dodger, my dog, that I need to shovel. And I got the one that is usually $40, but I got it for $19.99 Canadian, folks. Canadian. That's like $15 American.
That's love a good deal. We love a good deal.
Yes. And can we talk about how Canadian Tire always has good deals? You just got to be ready for when they come, you know?
I missed it. Okay, so Boxing Day, I went and bought a humidifier. And I found out that Amazon had it cheaper. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. And you can't return that stuff because once it's out of the box, they're like, now you put water in it. It's like, I very much, not important. We're not doing this.
No, I'm into the story because I need one of those.
I've got one in the other room. I can bring it to you. How's that?
Yes, please.
Actually, speaking of bringing it to me, you mentioned Dodger. I want to talk about the Dodger and Threat pins because I saw you promote those. I want you to promote those. And also, I want you, if you can, bring me one to Vegas because I will be there. And I want
Okay, cool, yeah.
So we'll talk offline, but talk to me about Dodger and Threat.
Dodger and Threat. Let's see. I might even... 1 second, folks.
Oh, if she's got one, I want to see it. We're digging out the good stuff. There it is.
Oh, there we go.
Cute, right?
Those are great.
Yeah, they're $20 pins, and basically all the profits from these pins will be going to the Toronto Humane Society to their drive for pet food. I know a lot of times there's a lot of attention on food drives for humans and that sort of thing, which obviously we need. Living is just so expensive these days, but I find often pets are kind of forgotten about, and pet food's like really expensive, especially for like pets who maybe have allergies. Like Dodger's an allergy case, and it's obscene what they want for healthy like hypoallergenic food. So basically anything we make off these pins will be going to that drive, and everyone can still buy them. I still have at least, I think, 50 left. You can slide into my DMs to get them. I bring them to all my shows. But yeah, $20, all profits going to a very good cause. Thank you for giving me that.
Of course.
You guys were talking about Canada, and all I could think about was Kushida. We had Kushida on the show on Monday, and he's like, Tim Hortons, best coffee. So I didn't know if you. Oh, okay. Oh.
It is our equivalent to your Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So it is like the how do we? I don't want to call them cheap, but like cost-effective coffees on the road, in Canada at least. My preference. So Tim Hortons is like, these cameras are weird, way down here. Then here is I don't know, like maybe like your gas station coffee. And then up here is like McDonald's. I think McDonald's has like the best, cheaper coffee.
All right. So TNA's coming back to Ontario, Windsor, Ontario in March. You got to take Kushida to a better coffee place.
Oh, I will. And I found like a spot in the area last time we were there. I got him. I will show him the way.
I'm gonna toss this out right now. So we've got the Knockouts Ultimate X match this Saturday at Hard to Kill. It's yourself, it's Giselle Shaw, it's Zaya Brookside, it's Tasha Steeles, it's Alicia Edwards, it's Danny Luna. Now, if you split this down the middle, you got a few OGs and a few newbies in the TNA Impact world. Are y'all gonna, you and Zaya and Danny? I know Danny's a friend of yours. You've mentioned that before. Any plans to kind of team up, conquer, divide, and then the best woman wins?
I mean, I'm the kind of person where I got to feel the vibe day of, so I don't have strategies in that way. What I do know is that, like you said, like there's some people I've never been in a ring with before. Like I haven't even been in a ring with Tasha. So I don't know what to expect in that regard. Just even looking at size, I feel like I have a bit of an advantage to who I'm going up against. I'm a little thicker. I feel like Danny Luna, like as you said, my BFF, we're kind of closer in size. So it'll be interesting. I'm very curious to see what happens, but I think there'll be a lot of dangling and pulling and these sorts of things.
Well, before we let you go, we have a little game that we like to play on the show. It's called Partner, Promo, or Punch in the Face. I give you 3 competitors. You're going to pick which one you want to partner with in a tag team match, which one you want to promo with in the ring, and which one you want to have a singles match, punch in the face. These are some of your Knockouts Ultimate X competitors. Giselle Shaw, Tasha Steeles, and your BFF, Danny Luna. Jody Threat, partner, promo, punch in the face.
Well, I'm gonna partner with Danny. That's easy.
Fair.
Promo, Giselle, and punch in the face, Tasha.
Oh, let's go. I knew I liked Jody Threat. Well, there you go. Before I plug Hard to Kill, Jody, please plug anything you want to get out there.
I mean, watch the new TNA. Let's go, guys. Go to my social media, Jody Threat. You can find all my bookings that are non-TNA related. But I'm so excited for what TNA has in 2024. Let's effing go.
Very excited for that. Very excited for Hard to Kill this Saturday, January 13th at the Palms in Las Vegas. It's also available Triller TV. It's also going to be on TNA Plus. If you get that higher tier, you can find it anywhere. Just search TNA Hard to Kill. You'll find where to go. Jody Threat, thank you so much. Good luck at Ultimate X, and I will see you in Vegas.
Yeah, let's go gamble. Woo!
Oh,
punch Joel in the face when you see him. You got to beat up Joel.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's got a lot of people who want to beat him up. So Tasha does, Macklin. So just join in with him.
Actually, yeah, I might need some protection because Steve Macklin is on the warpath to find me in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Thanks. Oh, yes, play a few hands of poker, and now I got no friends. So here we go. All right, Jody, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jody.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, the one and only Jody Threat.
She's fantastic. It was great to have her back on the show. And we had another 2-time guest. We had Ricochet Page. That was last Friday. Joel, gotta get these dates.
Dude, time is a flat circle. I do not know what's going on with my life.
It's good to talk to Jody again, and looking forward to that Knockouts Ultimate X match this Saturday. That's got potential to be one of the. There's a lot of wrestling this weekend, but that's got potential to kind of steal some headlines from everything going on this entire weekend.
This show, when I look at it, by the way, I'm going to be 2 things. One, True Heel Heat, I'll be on their channel at 1 o'clock after we're done here. Myself and SB3, we're going to run down TNA Hard to Kill. We're going to preview the show. And also tonight on the main Fightful channel, Cresta Star and I are going to come back. We're going to do a quick TNA preview because that's what they're airing tonight on their show. So we're going to come back, and on the main, after ROH finishes, we're going to do a quick TNA tomorrow. Oh my God, what day is it?
It's Wednesday.
What day is it? What are we doing? Okay.
Wednesday.
So today I will be on True Heel Hate to preview Hard to Kill.
Okay.
Tomorrow, after the Ring of Honor post show, Cresta and I will come back and we will do a TNA preview on the main channel. How's that? Is that better? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me. My brain is not here. It is currently on a plane going to Vegas.
Have fun. Have fun in
I
Vegas.
still have shit to do. I got to get my haircut. I got to pick up a different camera.
What do you get a haircut for?
I got to get a haircut. If I'm doing anything on air, I got to get a haircut.
Have Macklin cut your hair.
That's a big old nope from me.
Why not?
Nope.
I feel like that's a good idea.
No, I don't think we're going to do that.
You don't trust them?
Not at all. No.
Oh.
No.
Coward.
Can't do that. Can never do that.
It's cowardly.
Anyway, it's okay to get credentials for different shows, by the way.
Are you credentialed for TNA? Did you tout your credentialedness?
I mean, I'll pull the curtain back. I send an email and they say yes, and then I show up. That's the credential. Although I will, so I'll put this over. They're doing a TN Autograph Fest. It's very fun. The TNA Autograph Fest is nice because that also adds to the potential of me being able to do some on-screen interviews at the show, because that's typically something that when they come to Toronto, TNA or Impact at the time didn't get to offer, because the venues weren't really set up properly for any of that, right? Especially during or just before the show. This is a little bit more of a possibility that I could come in and maybe do some talent interviews live on the ground in Vegas. I'm still planning others that are non-TNA autograph weekend, but no, there's an opportunity there, which is very exciting.
That's good. I hope you get some good stuff. I hope Macklin beats you up first and foremost, but I hope you also get some good interviews and everything. Good content.
I wish that Vegas didn't care if you shot footage at a casino, because I would do something with Jody on the casino. Like, you heard her. She's like, yeah, let's go gamble. And like, I would just love to shoot something with her and I, like, either hitting it big or just go and bust. And that would be fantastic. But I don't know if we can get away with that unless we can find, I don't know, maybe at the airport. That's pretty much the only casino I can think of where you could do that and not get caught so quickly.
We'll have fun in Vegas this weekend with your credential and all that fun stuff. We're not going to talk about that. People are just mad about people. I don't know what they're mad about on that. They're just mad.
How much to shave the beard? I haven't shaved I got to trim my beard. I haven't been clean shaven since I was 17 years old. So you got to give me a lot of money for that. And on top of that, if you want to sponsor today's show, $150 will do it. Any super chat, $150, and we'll talk about whatever you want.
Joel, let's talk about Raw. That's in the thumbnail. We should probably deliver on the thumbnail.
Yeah, until I have to change it later on because we talk about Mercedes for another hour.
That was a good change, though.
Yeah, it did well. People were happy about that. We didn't disparage the good name of Mercedes Varnado.
Disparage her name right there by butchering it. She's gonna be on Dynamite tonight.
You think so, huh? Anyway, so CM Punk had a thing with Drew McIntyre to open up Raw. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I think Drew had a lot of really good stuff to say. I think Punk came out and did what he did best, and that's say he's not a leader. Even though if you ask Cody Rhodes on that Talk is Jericho interview from 2018, 19.
Bro, that shit was hilarious when
good.
Drew is like, you come into the locker room and you announce yourself as a leader, and Punk's like, never did that. It's like, dude, there's like 3 people on record saying you did that. All right, man.
But that's the thing. He didn't say it 10 years ago. So now he gets to say, I never said that. But he did say it 10 years ago. But the time in between those people saying that, those are outside of the 10 years. So it doesn't matter. Like, literally CM Punk, like 2014 or 2013 and 2023, 24, like the time in between doesn't exist. It's just it's like dragging the timeline flat. That's all that matters to CM Punk.
I love that he's like, never said that. Nope. Like, man, there's plenty of people who have said you have said that. It was a good promo between these two. I thought Drew kind of got the edge on that one. If we're gonna score this at home, 10-9, Drew McIntyre. But it was a good promo to set up stuff for the Rumble. We'll see if they do interact in the Rumble. Drew is obviously not going anywhere, at least until the Rumble. Is going to compete in the Rumble. Is the declared for that. So we'll see where they go. And if Drew wins, I imagine he would go after Roman and not Seth, even though he's been screwed over on the Seth front. I did the one issue I'll take with Drew's comments, like, maybe I should just leave for 9 years and come back. And then like, didn't you do that, dude? I know you got fired, but like,
Punk also mentioned that. Punk brought that up in the promo, and I thought that was really good. He was like, I should leave for 9 years and then I'll come back to a hero's welcome. But that's the thing that a heel would do, right? They would be so full of themselves to the point where they would say some shit like that, believing that it was true, when in reality, the babyface would come back and be like, no, you did that. And this is, I did what you did, you hypocrite. And that was good. 2 hypocrites in the ring out hypocriting each other is fantastic fodder for a show like this.
Who's the baby face and who's the heel on all
Shades of
this?
gray, baby.
Shades
Shades
of
of
gray.
gray.
Now it was a good promo segment though. It was a nice way to kick off Raw, and Drew aired some grievances and Punk aired some grievances as well. And we'll see what they set up going into the Rumble if they do interact in the Rumble. I imagine they will, because usually you want to, if you're going to tease something like that, you deliver it to some extent at the Rumble. And it was good continued build for the Rumble, because on the SmackDown side of things, we haven't had great build on the Rumble. Like they're building the Roman match, but as far as like the Rumble itself, like Lashley's declared, and that's like it. It's just like, oh, Lashley's in, and then that's all we're going with here.
Well, there's no one else who is a credible opponent to Roman who isn't in that fatal four-way.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the issue, is like the three guys that are at the top of the SmackDown card are facing Roman in that match. So it's like they're not trying to win the Rumble to go after Roman. Hopefully they do something with the Rumble and the build to that on the SmackDown side this week or this Friday. But yeah, the three guys who you would be like, oh, they make sense to go after Roman are all in the actual like title match. So the people you want to see go after Roman are all on Raw. It's Cody and I guess Cody, but you know, like Drew and Punk, and I don't know what Seth is doing at the Rumble. Like, is Seth going to be in the Rumble? And is Punk going to toss Seth to get to that match?
I think it's more likely that someone from Judgment Day gets the world title match, or they do Jinder. I'm half tongue in cheek. They do Jinder again. They get his heat back by bringing Indus this Monday. Indus comes out and they take out Seth, and it's not the Rumble is the spectacle.
Yeah, I know. And you've already had a Roman match. Like, I get it.
Again, everyone goes back to this. Hardcore Holly had a title match against Brock Lesnar once upon a time at the Royal Rumble, and that people were like, why? But there was a story there too. You could easily just have Indus come out, cost them the match, and then they do the match at the Rumble. That's that.
I guess so. Like, I understand where you're going with that, because you've already got a Roman match at Rumble. You've got the two Rumbles. You're kind of set. Like, everything else on the card is just whatever. So like Seth and Jinder, sure.
And they'll tell the story of like the 2012 NXT championship match. Like, someone will draw the parallel. They'll try. Like, they won't just, it's not just punting on a title match. Like, they'll try to build up Jinder as a competitor, as someone who deserves to be there. But then, the match will be what it is. And again, it could be a good match, but like it'll be as interesting as people will think it is. It'll open up the show, like, or no, it won't open up because one of the Rumbles will, but it'll be one of the matches. Like, it'll be one of the after Rumble matches. Like, after the Women's Rumble, we're gonna do the World Heavyweight Championship match.
I get it. I don't love it, but I understand where you're coming from with it. I think that just Seth should beat Jinder, and then let's just move on.
Like, I mean, they did Seth and Nakamura a few times too many, and that, like, again, that went along for the fall. You could just do this. Now, I'm not saying go to Nakamura, but I'm saying you're just gonna lather, rinse, repeat with the flavor of the month, the boss of the month. This is what we're doing, because they're building people, but they're also, it feels like they're trying to build people for the bigger events, or at least the bigger shows. And what if Jinder wins, and then you've got what? Yeah, what if, hear me out. What if stop it? Stop it. What if Jinder wins, and then you have Damian Priest come out and cash in on
this? Sounds fucking stupid.
So does the world title match we're planning, but this is it.
This sounds terrible.
I don't think the latter happens. I think it's more likely that you do Jinder and Seth again at the Rumble for the world title.
This sounds terrible. All of this just sounds bad. I'd rather Seth be in the Rumble than all of this.
We've done champion in the Rumble. It's not good. Like, this is not. And also, Seth isn't the champion who can do. His character is not the champion who could be like, I'm going to win the Rumble and then I'm going to pick my opponent, or I'm going to win the Rumble and then I'm going to take the night off at WrestleMania.
No, Seth is the champion who says, I'm going to win the Rumble and I'm going to go after Roman Reigns and get that title too.
Yeah, he could do that. I don't think he's going to. I think it's more likely that he's going to be, I have my championship. I'm going after this title.
I think he can be in the Rumble and be like, I want that Universal title. Roman Reigns has never beaten me. Roman Reigns had to get himself disqualified because he knew I was going to beat him. And he's been ducking me ever since. And so, you know what? I'm going to be in the Rumble. I'm going to win the Rumble. And I'm going to get my match against him. I think Seth can do that. And I think it's believable. And I buy it. And then, you know, it gets tossed in the Rumble. And then you set up, I assume, Punk. And then that's how you can set up Seth and Punk at Mania. And then The Rock comes in and wins the Rumble.
I am interested as to where The Rock falls in this. Do you put him in the Rumble or does he win? He's not going to win he wins the Elimination Chamber by coming in last.
Well, yeah.
And then just pinning everybody. He stacks everyone and he smashes everyone on the way to getting the Roman title shot at WrestleMania.
How does Rock get the Money in the Bank briefcase? That's what can Rock make a deal? Can he go like, got this golden egg here? I'll trade you this for, or can he be like, you know, Fast and Furious, Vin Diesel needs another brother. You would make a good brother for Vin Diesel.
R-Truth does it.
Oh, R-Truth just makes the trade for him.
Oh yeah, R-Truth wins the Money in the Bank match for him, and The Rock is just like, "Hey, remember what happened?"
He's gonna get Priest's briefcase though.
Oh, he's gonna win that. I thought you meant next year's Money in the Bank.
No. He gets Priest's briefcase. That way, Rock doesn't have to do any work, and then Rock cashes in like to get the Mania match.
Interesting.
He just announces like, I'm gonna cash in WrestleMania because he's got the briefcase.
Well, I mean, there is an idea that's been floated that I don't hate, but it feels convoluted. It's the idea that at WrestleMania they do a match for the briefcase between Drew and Damian Priest. Drew wins the briefcase. Drew cashes in that night. The winner of the Seth and let's say Punk match, whoever wins that title, Drew comes in, gets his WrestleMania moment, quote unquote, but it's completely hollow because he did it by effectively, you know, catching him Money in the Bank. And then the crowd's like booing him. And he's like, why are you booing me? I'm right. And, you know, that's what we do.
I don't hate that, actually. I'm not mad at that idea.
I don't hate the idea either.
I don't know if they have a plan with Priest in this briefcase.
We also don't know where Drew stands contractually. Like a lot of this is waiting on the Drew contract. But I will say the fact that there's two sides to this. One is if you're a professional, you will work until you're done, until your contract is up, and you're not going to coast to the end, you know, unless you're we're not going to use this. We're not going to use this. You don't coast to the end if you're trying to get a big money deal to be re-upped or go somewhere else. That's one. Or number two, he is going to resign. There are plans to resign. The deal is made or good. And this is the new character that we're working with Drew, and it's good. So let's keep rolling. So we do something like what I'm talking about.
I don't dislike that because I don't know what they have. I don't know what they have in plan for Priest. Like the fact that he keeps failing when he tries to cash in typically tells me that they don't have a real plan, but they're just trying to remind you he has this briefcase. Because if they had a plan, they just wouldn't make him look like a dork every time he tries to cash in. Or they make the referee looks like a dork of like, huh? What? What are you trying to do with this?
We did that last night on NXT, and the guy still won the title. So there you go. The Obafemi fans are all over it.
All right, so I don't know if they have a plan with Priest. So get it on Drew, and then Drew can have his moment of like heist of century on Rollins. Like, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at that. So otherwise, yeah, unless Rock's gonna just trade in a movie role for the briefcase to get to the Mania match. Here's the real question of where somebody fits in. How does Brock just like show up at the Rumble and toss everybody? I'm like facing Roman again, brother.
Could you imagine Triple H everyone's just like, oh, I can't wait. It's Triple H's first WrestleMania. He's going to have the book. He's going to book everything we want. Right. And then Brock just shows up and he's like, fuck you.
Brock should shoot on everybody and just toss them. That's the best story ever. I don't know how true it is, but Brock just being like, I'm winning, brother. And everybody's just like, Yes, sir, Mr. Lesnar. Yes, sir.
Bro, I was supposed to win the Rumble, bro. I don't know what happened, bro.
Brock just goes into business for himself and tosses all these dudes. Rules. Absolutely rules.
Do you think we see Brock at WrestleMania this year? Do you think Brock
Yeah.
is going to do it? You think
Yeah.
so? I think it's more likely he does another Saudi show before he does Mania, or he does Mania as a, as a means to get to Saudi, because I feel like that show will be in May.
I think Brock
Oh
likes
no, it can't be. Sorry, can't be in May because they're in France. in May.
Backlash is in May.
So June.
I think Brock likes working Mania. And I mean, why wouldn't he? Like, it's a good payday. It's the biggest stage. Like, I think he likes working Mania and he wants to be part of Mania. I don't know what Brock does at Mania, but I assume he'll be part of Mania in some aspect. Maybe you do Cody and him in a bull rope match, since Cody's out of the picture with Rock in there now.
God bless. I mean, people were talking about Gunther versus Brock. I don't hate it. I don't know why. Unless you make it a personal thing, you put you gotta, you got Brock going after the only title he hasn't won. That's the story.
That doesn't even have to be a personal thing, man. Gunther said enough, like, this is my in boss. Like,
that's fair.
Gunther has looked at Brock as, like, even though he's the champion, Gunther looks at Brock of like, I ain't done shit until I beat this man. And so, like, and Brock can just be like, you know what? You've been destroying all of these people. Like, I'm let's go, buddy. Let's go. Nah, it's Brock and Kyrie. That's the match, everybody. Brock and Kyrie.
Yeah, I posted that the second that they announced she was coming back.
Yeah.
Oh, Wilcherson sent a super chat, but not a sponsorship. It's $150 for that. I think we get Brock versus Gunther at WrestleMania. There you go. It's a possibility. We don't know. Kai says, okay, do this. R-Truth helps Brief win the cash in. This I don't hate, because they're doing a thing where Priest is like, nah, I'll put him down when the time is right. What if the time is never right? This is the one thing that really muddies up the waters. You're asking, what are they doing with Priest? He still has the damn tag titles. And that's no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You don't know, you wouldn't know because they don't, defend them regularly, but he wears them. They are his accent piece. They need either to split those tag titles and get them off of someone, or just move forward from that, because it's there. It's just there.
Aren't they defending them next week? Am I making that up?
I don't know. Are they? Against who? Against Awesome Truth?
Yeah, I think so.
It would be. I mean, that's who it would be.
Actually, like, legit think it's against Awesome Truth.
I don't see it here. They're just posting all the photos and stuff. Oh, here we go. No, it's a what would be a championship contenders match.
Oh,
like they're doing.
Oh, so it's non-title.
Non-title, yeah.
Oh,
and then DIY is taking on Dom and JD.
Put the belts on the line, cowards.
I mean, it feels like JD. Okay, so hold on. Mania could turn into a ladder match for the tag titles, or at least the Rumble or something. Because
I don't think they're defending the titles at the Rumble.
Probably not. But you've got R-Truth and Miz. You got Balor and Priest if they're still tag champs. You got DIY. You got Dom and JD for some god awful reason. That's Raw. And then on the SmackDown side, you've got Street Profits. You've got the Carrillos, the Humberto's Carrillo, and then
LWO.
Yeah, the LWO, and then you
Authors
probably
of
have
Pain.
another team. Authors of Pain. There you go. AOP. So you can do a tag team thing.
Yeah, Creed Brothers are in this as
Creed
well.
Brothers too. There you go. They're somewhere to be found. So there is a tag division. They're just not really putting much emphasis on it very often. Like, there you go. That's how they can split the titles. Two sets of teams take the titles at the same time.
Just split the titles. Just figure out a way to do it. If that's how you're gonna do it, then fine. But like, just split these titles. Like, it's they've been together for too long. Ever since KO and Sammy won at Mania, they've just kind of haven't done too much with the tag belts. The Judgment Day and KO and Sammy feud was good. It was a good Bill feud. And then Judgment Day won, and then they lost them to Cody and Jay. Forgot that was a thing for like 2 weeks, and they got them back. Like, you just gotta split them.
Yeah, it's time to do that. Wilchism also says a super chat saying, I do love the Rumble build for the women for both shows. Feel like Becky, Nia, and Bayley have a chance to win. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can add to that. They're doing good stuff with Nia. I gotta say, the Becky and Nia stuff, or sorry, the Nia and Rhea stuff is still fun, and they're moving towards a match. I don't know when it is. It felt like the Rumble match, but they're trying to play it off like it isn't. I think Nia is going to do something to evoke Rhea into the match and provoke her into doing the match at the Rumble.
Then what are you doing at Elimination Chamber with Rhea? Is she in the Elimination Chamber?
Maybe, yeah. I didn't really.
And then she win. Like Rhea's not losing in Australia.
No, she's not. Then that's the thing. You could build it up to do Elimination Chamber between Nia and Rhea.
I think they are.
And then they do the big moment because, Sean had alluded on the post show that it wasn't Sean. I think it was, I don't want to get my sourcing wrong, but not sourcing my attributions wrong. But either Sean or Wade Keller, one of them said that Nia was brought back for a specific reason. And that was when it happens, it's going to put somebody over. And I think that is the moment. It is getting Nia up for a big slam like Rhea's finish. So that's probably what that moment is. You build up Nia to the point where she is that undeniable final boss, and then they get the win.
Yeah, I think you're doing Rhea and Nia at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
And I think Nia's probably in the Rumble, and I don't know how she'll get eliminated by multiple people, and then she'll just kind of talk herself into the match at Elimination Chamber against Rhea, because I feels like Becky's winning the Rumble, but then it feels like Becky might compete in Elimination Chamber, so maybe Bayley wins the Rumble.
I'm still on the Bayley winning the Rumble train. I don't hate that. I still have a Dakota Kai is, in the back pocket. I was thinking about this actually the other day. What if all 5 members of Damage Control plus Bianca Belair are in the Elimination Chamber? And like some sort of weird screwy way, they're all in the Elimination Chamber together and they all have to face each other. And eventually it comes down to Io and who knows who. And, they basically Io wins, but just barely.
Let's see what Sean Ross Sapp thinks.
Do we have to?
Yeah,
I guess we probably should. I like him. He's fine. Hello, Sean.
Sean, how are you?
I'm good.
You got a haircut?
I did get a little haircut. It's not done right now, though.
I saw the sides.
Would you let Steve Macklin cut your hair, Sean?
Probably.
Yeah, Joel won't. He's a coward.
I wonder why.
I let my grandmother cut my hair when I'm pretty sure she had dementia. So, yeah. So, is there anything worth talking about? Normal Tuesday night, it appears.
Oh, yeah, you missed the first 40 minutes of the show, did you?
Yeah, I definitely did. For sure.
I didn't do anything wrong. I don't know why people are mad at me.
Me and Jimmy are having a spirited discussion on Skype because he's stuck in 2010, which I think
am I in trouble?
I open Skype 3 times a week, and it's only because of Jimmy.
There you go. I've tried to get him to use Slack, which I think is an example, but we're going to talk about it on the hump, the Tony Khan thing, but it's like, I don't give a shit what he tweets. Like, I'm supposed to.
Am I in trouble, Sean?
No, you're not in trouble, but I saw people that were like, oh, well, you get mad at tweets all the time. I'm like, well, if they're about my family or saying I'm a coke addict or something, sure. Like, what, I give a shit about 2 wrestling companies tweeting about each other? They took out ads in newspapers and magazines and stuff. And I saw people say, well, Triple H never does that. He went to WCW in a Jeep. Why are we pretending like this is different for wrestling companies? Well, things have changed. Apparently not. Apparently not.
Yeah, things have changed. We have social media now.
I tell people to get fucked with regularity on Twitter. What, I'm supposed to complain about Tony Khan deeming his own personal level of professionalism? No, Jimmy, I was trying to highlight to Jimmy. Jimmy, you were online bitching about a 20-year-old indie spot from CZW last month. And I said, Jimmy, that's not a good idea. You're going to get dragged. I don't care. All right. Well, why should he care then? Why should Triple H care? Why should any of those people care? Who cares?
So Matt Cross joins us at 11:30. So just letting everyone know about that. That's still.
I love Matt Cross. He probably doesn't have any idea who I am, but I was a big backyard wrestling video game guy.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna ask him about that.
Yep.
By the way,
Oh, look at that. That looks good.
That looks good.
and I actually went up to Cleveland and interviewed Josh Prohibition after his after a training class that he did. It was a really great setting. You can still find it on Fightful's YouTube. But he talked about how they wanted to have them redo the cover shoot like numerous times. And he was like, that hurts a lot, right? To do what we're doing. But I loved that. I absolutely loved that. And also, when's he get his rematch with MJF?
Yeah.
Might be a question that we're about to ask. Hey, Sean, do we get Bow Wow versus Jade at WrestleMania? Ryan Lambert.
Only if Jermaine Dupri is in his corner.
Let's go.
We got to get Cat Williams on something. I saw Triple H invited Shannon Sharp to an event. Smart move by him. 30 million views on that freaking Cat Williams.
Cat Williams is a somewhat local Cincy guy. I consider everybody from Lexington, Cincinnati, the triangle of which I live, local.
Fair. Sean, who's winning the Rumble? That's what we were discussing before this. Who are your picks?
I don't know, but let me go over to BetOnline AG and see if they have their line set up yet.
Hey, look at us. Look at us. We don't, like I said, today's sponsor, nobody. But for $150, you can sponsor today's show with your super chats.
Yes. Yeah. Pretty steep asking price there, Joel.
Yeah, well, you know what? This show deserves it today.
Why? What would y'all do today?
Jody Threat.
You got Jody.
Matt
Jody
Cross,
rules. I love Jody.
We're making up for lost time, Sean.
Listen, I've been singing the praises of Jody Threat for 4.5 years now. Ever since I saw her in Toronto at those shows, she was skating around the venue a little bit too. But I remember I walked in, the first thing I see was Jody Threat just jacked, vertical suplex hold on a dude. And I was like, oh, damn. Then I went to WWE Media the next day, and I asked Trish, who's been helping you get ready for your match? She said, Jody Threat's been helping me get ready for my match. And I said, okay. Then I find out that week, Jody Threat's got a tryout. Okay. Well, first off, they should have hired her, but I think the pandemic probably slowed that down quite a bit, but she's fantastic. I think she's really, really great.
She's doing fantastic work for TNA right now, and she's growing. I think where she is right now is perfect, and she's going to keep learning and growing in that field too.
I instinctively have to keep myself from snarkily being like, it's not TNA anymore. Whenever I hear somebody say TNA,
it's not. Not till Saturday.
Not till Saturday, but I have to because now anything that's press related I get is TNA wrestling. So
but I mean, people used to say it in a derogatory manner too, right? Like people used to be like, "Oh, so TNA." No, I'm glad they're doing it. Like whatever. Am I used to Impact for sure? But I'm glad it's back to TNA. From 2005 to 2009, TNA was my show. In fact, I might pop on after the Hard to Kill show and sort of what I did with the Don West, Mike Tenay thing, talk a little bit about TNA. I think I'll be around for that. So tune in as well.
You're not going to be watching the 20 other shows that are going to be on that night, including Battle of the Borts.
Going to be such a busy Saturday.
I will not be. Not be.
That's okay. Listen, I'll be here. We'll be doing a post show over on youtube.com/Fightful. Myself, Cresta Star, Steven Jensen will be live. I'll be at my hotel room that is like 5 feet away from the venue, thank God. And we'll talk about the show. And it'll also be like 8 o'clock where I am. So I'll be able to do it without feeling like I'm about to fall asleep.
I will be covering AEW and TNA and NWA and New Japan.
Wow.
Oh yeah, the New Japan Battle in the Valley shows that night too.
There's a TNA show, there is a TNA. There's an NWA show that night too.
Yeah, that's right. We had Missy Kate on 2 weeks ago. We talked about that for a second.
There's too much wrestling. Make it stop.
Damn, Battle in the Valley is this weekend.
Yeah, it's Saturday.
For some reason, I thought it was like a month from now.
No, why do you think Ospreay and Okada are coming to TNA? It's a hop, skip, and a jump away from where they're working the night before.
Too much wrestling this weekend, Sean. Tell them to knock it off.
Man, The New Japan card looks great.
It does. It is a very great card.
Yep.
but
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Congratulations to new open weight champion, Evil, who ousted the evil Tama Tonga from the New Japan website.
I thought he was doing a bit at first when he tweeted like, "Oh, Evil or Tama Tonga has been fired. I'm the champion." And then I checked the New Japan website, American and Japanese. There it is. Evil is listed as the never open weight champion.
Well, little Fightful Select plug. We've got more New Japan contract news coming. We've reported that basically the entire War Dogs, besides David Finley's contracts, are up or have been up. We've got some AEW contract news today. Not Mercedes, for those asking. We got WWE Raw producers. We got the list goes on. We got stuff nonstop over there. Thanks for having me. Enjoy speaking with Matt Cross shortly, guys.
Thank you, Sean. We'll see you again soon.
Give me an update on Sid, please.
That's not him on Twitter.
I know that. I
Well-
want an actual update on Sid.
There's your update. That's as far as it gets.
One day we'll get an actual update on Sid. One day.
Wasn't he doing a podcast once upon a time for a short amount of time?
Yeah, for a very short amount of time. I want him on this show. Get him on this show, Joel.
I'm good at getting a lot of different people on this show. This is one that I would have to white whale. I'm sorry.
I can't ask on Twitter because it's not him.
It's not him.
On Twitter.
Did you
I bet
imagine?
Janela? Janela's got to have a hookup on that. Janela knows everybody.
He's worked with everybody.
He has.
Wait, hold on. I have to check Cage Match for a second. TK's favorite.
Oh no, Shane Hawk. Shane Hawk had a Sid story.
He did. He told
Or,
us this. Yeah, that's right. But he was like 18 or 14 at the time.
But
Hold
like,
on, we gotta
still,
check
does he
this.
not? When was the last time Sid like did anything?
Man, I don't know.
I just want Sid on this show.
Did he go under Sid Vicious?
I don't even know like what I'm gonna ask him. Just like, how are you so awesome?
How are
That's gonna be my question.
Oh god. You think he does everything in character? He absolutely would. He wrestled, it was 2017 against Paul Rosenberg. Oh, in Ottawa.
There you go.
That's interesting. The G&W. Wow. And then he did the Heath Slater thing.
At some point, Sid's gonna be brought in for a GCW show. He just is.
Has to.
And when that happens, I'm gonna ask Janela or Lauderdale. Be like, look, I don't ask for a lot.
He beat Eddie Kingston in 2011 in 5 seconds.
As he should.
BWS refused to lose.
Who was Eddie? He refused to lose to Eddie Kingston.
That's right.
Who was Eddie Kingston in 2011? He wasn't Sid, that's for sure.
There's not much here. He's X-Pac in 2009.
Yeah, I know. I see that.
Yeah. There's just their names here. Frankie the Mobster, that's surprising. Frankie the Beast King in Canada.
Somebody's got to have contact information for Sid.
That's crazy.
That's my goal in 2024. Sid and Bryan Danielson. That's what I want. That's who's going to be on this show. In
Yeah?
2024.
Okay. All right.
That's my goals.
All right. We'll talk.
Maybe
about
at the same time, Sid and Bryan Danielson. What an
Could you
interesting
imagine?
conversation that would be.
table for 3.
Yeah. A very interesting conversation between those two men.
Oh, the Zarian dropping the new TNA title. I hope that Joe comes out and tosses the old one in the trash.
That would rule.
It just says that I am the ruler and master of the world. But yeah, that would make sense. I mean, listen, is it a scoop? Sure, you can call it a scoop. But like he said, it was going to happen. We have photos of the belt over on FightfulSelect.com. But yeah, the new title being debuted tonight, that makes perfect sense to me.
I don't like the new title.
No, why not?
Because like the logo on there like doesn't look natural.
I get it. They kind of feels like,
Yeah, I don't like it.
On. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at the fake Sid Vicious account just now.
Oh.
I got turned off by that. But anyway, yeah, do the butterfly belt.
Nah, you could do the butterfly belt. I'd be okay with that.
That's fine. Well, listen, there are plenty of different belts that we could have, but this guy literally owns all of them. So if he's ready, we can give us a thumbs up and we can get right to it. Oh, we are excited for this one, folks. This Sunday in London, Ontario, at Smash Wrestling's Any Given Sunday, he is going to be facing Von Vertigo, a match that's 10 years in the making, a match that was given really because Von released a fantastic promo that Matt saw our guest right now. I just gave it away, even though I've been promoting him for the last 2 hours. He saw it and he said, I want to do this match. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only M-Dog. Matt Cross joins us right now. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good. How are you doing?
Thanks for joining us.
Doing all right. Doing all right.
All right, I gotta ask this right off the bat. One of my favorite wrestling video games ever, Backyard Wrestling. How did this come about? How were you featured in this game, and any memories from the game?
Yeah, it's really crazy. When the Backyard Wrestling videotapes came out, the guys that were in charge were sort of floating all these things our way. They're like, this is going to be huge. There's going to be a movie. There's going to be a video game. You're going to be on Jenny Jones. Like, so we didn't really know what to believe. Some things came true, some things didn't. So we're sort of thinking, well, there's no possible way there's going to be a video game. Now, as I remember it, there was a company called Epic Pro Wrestling out in California that booked Josh and I. We went out for the show. Ultimo Dragon was on it. We were so excited. The show ended up getting canceled. So we were flown to LA. We're sitting at the hotel. We don't know what to do. And then a bunch of the IDOS guys that were making the game were supposed to go to the show. So they were like, oh, the show's canceled. Don't worry. Come to the studio. See the video game that you're in. That was sort of my first, like, this is real. Up to that point, so we went to a studio where room after room, people are working on models, working on computers, and they're showing us this game that's already well into development. And I'm like, wait, what? And as we enter the rooms, the developers are looking up and they're like, oh, wow, wait, come over here. Because these guys have been designing our faces, getting to meet us. So they're like, I want to see if the character looks like you. And I want to see if, and it was surreal because, again, I didn't even know it was a real thing. So it was just completely bizarre. And I'm like 21 at the time or something. So just so much to take in. It never really hit me. I kept waiting I'm like, someday it's going to hit me that I was in a game. And it came out in October of 2003. So it's over 20 years ago. So that's what I think is crazy. Like, how many people every weekend come to watch me wrestle that are 20 years old, are 19 years old, are 18 years old. They weren't even born and it came out.
Did you have to sign anything for it, or they just like, we're putting you in the game?
We're saving that for the book. There's a reason I wasn't in the second one.
That was kind of my follow-up, is like, you weren't in the second one, so I didn't know if there was a story there.
Right. So the teaser is essentially, no, we didn't sign anything. And what a whirlwind and a lesson and a craziness, and but whatever. Mario, Zelda, me. I feel like I was immortalized to some degree in a game. Like, but essentially we didn't get paid. So check out wrestlingisforever.com. There's a plug for you.
Didn't Ice-T say that he wasn't paid for the game that he did for Death Jam? Who was that?
Oh, I don't remember.
Someone recently said they weren't paid for Def Jam. So anyway, that's not important. Let's talk about this Sunday. Let's talk about your match against Von Vertigo at any given Sunday in London for Smash Wrestling. We talked about the video that Von produced that you retweeted and said, my dude shines a brighter light on a singular story than any company has in 20 plus years. Looking forward to this match. Talk about your relationship with Von. Talk about this match and how much you're looking forward to this on Sunday.
I thought that video was great. It was really cool. I think I'm one of the most misunderstood guys sort of in professional wrestling. I come from a punk rock background, from the world of punk. And there have been bands throughout history. I think NoFX recently did a good job of sort of summarizing it. And they were like, you can, as an underground punk band, aim for the stars, sign to a major label, become a big thing. And then what happens so often is you have this very short-lived, you flame, burn out, and then you're done because your fans have turned their back on you. So if you don't make it, you're kind of screwed because you've like destroyed and cashed in your punk credibility. So I have always falsely believed that there's some equivalent to that in the wrestling business. Now, 25 years in, I realize that I was 100% wrong. I don't really think there is this concept of like selling out in wrestling. So if I had it all to do again, I completely messed up. That said, I was like a working class wrestler. Like, I go out, I do the shows, I'm busy, I'm active, I'm living, breathing, I'm the moving spirit of professional wrestling. So no one has told that story because I don't belong to anyone. So if I was under one banner, then they would, I would hope, tell that story. No one helped me. No one did anything. There was no blueprint. I started in Josh's backyard down the street and said, I don't know, maybe we could do something. Fast forward a couple years, I've now wrestled in 28 countries and 47 states. No one's done that ever. I don't know if anyone ever will. No one has. So I'm the last trailblazer, the last pioneer in the professional wrestling business. I think that's what Vaughn touched on in his video. And he did such a good job of it. And he is, in a lot of ways, like following in my footsteps. Like there is no blueprint for this thing. I invented it. And he's sort of, he and a lot of other guys are inspired by that and moving forward under that banner. And I just thought that was really cool because I don't know, you don't think of yourself in that way, and then to see it was touching. You know, I was like, oh wow, there are, you know, when we don't have someone handling the travel, we don't have someone coordinating this or that, we're not getting an email with our travel and then it's not all laid out for us. So you do all the work on yourself, and it's so much more work than people realize or people appreciate. I won't name names. I remember a guy getting released from WWE, one of my friends, coming back to independent wrestling, and he was like, oh my God, I forgot, like, I've got to do everything myself now. And I'm like, yeah, buddy, welcome back. And he's just like, this is so hard. He's like, I took for granted that someone gave me like, it's the month of April. Here's what you're going to be doing. We took care of it. And it's no less grueling. You're on a plane, you're doing it's horrible, but you didn't have to plan it. You just wear so many hats as an independent professional wrestler. Like, am I point of sale retail? Yes. Am I the designer? Yes. Am I an agent? Yes. Am I the talent? Yes. I got to go to the gym every day? Yes. It's like, holy crap, what am I doing 15 times the work for none of the benefits, essentially? So it's just, I don't know, like the two of us are this spirit of independent professional wrestling. And I love that we can do it in Smash. I believe in that company, and I'm the first ever champion. I like the team they have behind the scenes. It's just always friendly and welcoming. I like that we can do it at the London Music Hall. Like, that is a sick venue. Whenever you come out and they have that, what do you want to call it? We'll call it the Sebtron behind you with the LED lights. It's so cool. So there's just a feel to it. And that balcony, like I don't even know if there's people up there, but any room with a balcony is just going to forever scream ECW to me. So like, I'm going to get psyched. And then that crowd in particular, for whatever reason, is always just so up for it. And I think venues do become part of the experience. And it's that marriage of like, cool match, cool company, cool venue. Like, yes, here we go. So it's exciting.
You mentioned independent wrestling and being an embodiment of independent wrestling. You were part of All In, billed as the biggest independent show ever. You have a victory over MJF. I mean, he's not the champion anymore, but I feel you're owed a title shot whenever that happens. But memories of All In and being part of that show.
Yeah, it was amazing because I felt like nobody was just there. Every seat represented a vote, right? Like, everyone there was, if you go to whatever company's show, there are some people there that just don't even know what they're at. Like, their friend dragged them along, or they just won tickets, or, there are people that are like, oh, they're sort of aloof to it. Whereas I think everyone at All In was there with purpose. So I can't remember how many people were there, but however many people were there, we're all there casting a vote. And it's this thing that I've spent my entire life in, that I believe in. Like, there is a market for like independent professional wrestling, and this other alternative. And that was the first time it was sort of, in a lot of ways, given that chance to shine. So I've done a lot of these massive shows in other countries. So to me, I kept like pinching myself and being like, we're in Chicago? Like, this is the United States? Because sure, like, Cody Rhodes had done giant arenas, and I had done giant arenas, but for a lot of these guys, if not most of them, this was completely they're like, you could do pro wrestling in buildings that are this big? outside of one other company. So just that excitement was like palpable, you know, because I think the wrestlers knew like, oh, okay, this is something special. We've worked our lives to create this moment. Here we go. And I think the fans were a part of that and on that same page of like, they have in their own ways worked for this and wanted this. And they were, again, casting a vote by sitting in their seat. And they're like, no, this is a thing. We can do this. Like, this is a celebration of independent wrestling. And yeah, it was the first match. I came out. They threw Wrestling is Forever up on the screen, which at that time, that the word wrestling was illegal. So shots were fired out of the gate through me. And that was amazing.
I I checked out your Amazon wish list. You posted it on your birthday.
Oh, thank you.
There's good stuff there. But I also saw a book. There are many books. One that jumped out at me was about Motorhead. A very big Motorhead fan. What's your favorite album, your favorite song by Motorhead? Let's go.
I mean, like, it's so lame to say like Ace of Spades or whatever, but like, it's so good. I remember talking in Japan to Necrobusher about like Orgasmatron. And it was like the funniest, like the weirdest like combination of like people and circumstances. And we're at a bar somewhere in Japan. I don't drink. He's wasted. A homosexual man is trying to buy me drinks, but I'm refusing them. He's trying to tell me like, just let him buy you drinks because then I can have them. And I'm like, no, that's not right. And then let's talk about Orgasmatron. And I was just like, what's happening? There was just so many things like going on at one moment. But yeah, Motorhead rules because it's like, I'm like a big nerd as far as like punk specifically and history and the way that like metalheads and punks can just be like Motorhead.
Yes, always.
And it's inspired so many, like Inepsy is one of my favorite bands, and like they sound like Motorhead. And like Rancid's probably my all-time favorite band, and Matt Friedman's side project Charger is Motorhead. So it's just it always comes back into play, and they were like the first ones to. And I'm a bass player, so it's like that. I don't ascribe to that like mega distorted sound of Lemmy, but the fact that it was so like bass forward and bass heavy is always going to be like an inspiration of sorts as I write songs. And so, yeah, I definitely noticed the shirt.
Can we talk about the bass too? Because that's
Please.
my other thing with you.
Yeah,
what are you playing? What kind of basses are you playing? You're a punk guy, so I mean, you're not going to be like top of the line stuff, but like, what's your gear like?
Oh my God, what a funny question. So my parents bought me an Ibanez when I was in 8th grade, 9th grade. And I was actually this past Christmas thanking my mom because I'm like, that's got to be the best gift I was ever given. Because here we are like 30 years later or something, and I still use it. Someone asked me, sorry,
it's for you.
Someone asked me about like the strings or changing the strings. And I was like, bro, it's a bass. You can't change the strings. So like that's the level. So you're talking about gear. That's the level I'm at. I was like, you can't change strings on a bass. They come with strings, and then you have them till you die. So it's sort of funny because my dad is in a bluegrass band, and every once in a while I'll play with them. Now they are like real musicians, so they're over my head. I don't know note names. I don't know chord names. I don't even know the string names. And up until recently, my buddy would tune my bass for me. So that is like, he would come over and I'm like, I would write songs that, you know, the bass was so out of tune that once he tuned it, I had to relearn them because I'm like, oh, it turns out that note's actually here because like it's been so out of tune. Now I can finally tune my own bass. But what's been so empowering to me, if you had told me this a year ago or 2 years ago, that like, so like, I'm not trying to be like a motivational speaker, but like forever, I was like, I can't write songs because I don't know how to tune a bass. I don't know how to change the strings. I don't know how to, but that's the crazy part. Like you can. And I think that was my story in wrestling. That's my story in music is like, you just figure it out. And that to me is the story of punk. Like the DIY ethos of like, I don't know how to do it. Figure it out. So you can do it. Like, so to this day, so I'm in a band now. We have 30 some songs. We're playing shows. It's awesome. I don't know what an EAGD. I don't know, and I don't care because it does not matter. I'm like, this note sounds sweet. What note sounds sweet after that? And that's how I did wrestling too. I remember being in Josh Prohibition's backyard, and we're dumb kids, right? And I was like, maybe someday we can go to Japan. Maybe someday we can go to Mexico. And we were just throwing out like the dumbest things. And then fast forward, now we've done it. And it's like, I don't even know how, like it just, but you make that way. And I think there's definitely something there. So yeah, I have a Ibanez bass. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad. I know it's lasted 30 years, so must be good enough. And my buddy's got like a way expensive bass. I actually don't like the tone of it. So I like mine a lot more. I don't know if it's just like the 30 years of dirt that have the patina that's built up on it, but it's got a great sound. Again, I said Rancid is my favorite band of all time. Like Matt Friedman's the greatest punk bassist. So I'm not him, obviously, but sort of that bass forward sound as we're talking about with Motorhead and stuff. So I'll have to get you some of our stuff too, because there is like a bass focus.
Yeah, I would love to hear it. I love the analogy between wrestling and music because it does make perfect sense. And also what you're talking about with your bass being comfortable for you, it's your style. It is something that you've honed. It's something that you've become comfortable with. It's something that you love. And someone else's is something that they've loved. It's something that they've done. That's wrestling. That is the difference. And I think that's perfect. That's music. That's the way it is. So it's good stuff. Jeremy, go ahead.
You were part of what I like to call in-time promotions, 2 promotions that if you were not there at this time, you maybe don't understand the appeal of them: Wrestling Society X and Lucha Underground. And they were, the way they were taped, they were kind of shot all in like a weekend and then aired weekly. Any memories from both of those promotions, and then kind of similarities and differences between those promotions?
Yeah, it's crazy because they always are sort of lumped together. And I understand why, because if the 3 of us were put in a room and we had to come up with some wrestling promotion, and the only rule that we had to follow was it has to be different. It has to be visually different. There's a good chance we would settle on, well, all mainstream wrestling is in a giant sterile arena. We should do something with graffiti and underground and a bunker. And likely we would land on that same thing. So I understand the visual cues that make them seem so similar, but they were really, really, really different. Wrestling Society X, we filmed the entire season in 7 or 8 days. So we went to California once, did 1 or 2 episodes a day, whatever it was, filmed it in 7, 8 days, done forever. That was in 2016. Lucha Underground was
2006. 2006 Wrestling Society X. Yeah.
I lost a whole decade getting slammed in the head every day. It's really funny because if you mention anything in like between 2001 and 2010, I can tell you, if you throw out like 2008, I'm like, I did the Ultimate Warrior's last show ever in Madrid. Like I can tell you everything within that decade. The decade after, I have no idea. Like 2014, I'm like, was that a real year? Like 2017, I'm like, because I think the first thing were like all like these milestones, and then the next decade was just doing them again. Like people don't care as much when you're like, you go to Qatar the 4th time. And when you go to Germany the 20th time, when you go to Mexico the 12th time. So it was just like, yep, more of that. So yeah, case in point, I do that a lot. But Lucha Underground, it's so cliche, but it was Wrestling Society X on steroids. It was just so much bigger in production and budget and just everything. Like Wrestling Society X, again, let's head there for 7, 8 days. Let's try to do it. We have $1, not literally, but speaking with hyperbole. Whereas Lucha Underground, it was like, let's go, like wardrobe department, of course. Catering, of course. Like hazard pay, yep, that's a thing. Like just it was so Hollywood, so professional, so over the top, down to and including production assistants coming up to us every second and being like, do you need anything? Can I get you anything? What can I? And we're dumb wrestlers, right? So no one's ever given us anything. It's a promoter that's like, oh, nobody's here, no money, go home, you suck, get a job. So all of us are like, no, we're good. And then the production assistants who are used to running around and doing whatever for whoever are just like, you guys this is so, oh my God, we love you. Like, let us do something. Or the first season, they were like lacing up my boots. And that's not an exaggeration. So the wardrobe department people, which was a separate part of the building, and I was like, oh, that's not like, no, I can. That actually makes me uncomfortable. Like, I'll lace up my own boots. And they're like, no, let us like do our job. Like, we have to get you guys dressed and undressed, and this is like what we were hired to do. So it was just like, holy crap, this is amazing. And we were going back and forth to LA for years. So it's hard in retrospect to be like, okay, let me compare that 7 days versus those like 4 or 5 years where I was just going back and forth to LA like every week type thing. So I'm kind of surprised that Wrestling Society X gets brought up so much. Like you said, it's 2006, so it's like we're coming up on like 20 years ago. And it was awesome. I loved it. So I'm happy that it does, but I'm almost surprised because, again, if you're a 20-year-old wrestling fan, you're like, somebody's dad's telling me about something that happened when I was 2. Like, what? So it's awesome that it lives on, and it's awesome that how many of us are still wrestling. I feel like if one of us was still alive, I would think that'd be impressive. So the fact that guys are still, it's like Seth Rollins and Matt Sydal and myself and Scorpio Sky and blah, 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 blah. It's like more people are still at it than not. And I'm like, in the wrestling business, which is Russian roulette, how is it possible? So I think it showed like sort of, I suppose, I'm just thinking out loud. It showed like the passion at play, because the fact that these people, even back then, weren't kidding and were going to do this by whatever means necessary is pretty awesome. And then, yeah, Lucha Underground, I think we know how cool it was. I think that will continue to grow and grow. And once we're 10 and 20 years removed from this moment, when the books are written about it, only then will people be like, oh my God, there has not and never will be something like this again. You can't, if three of us start a promotion today, what guys are we going to get that have been in for 20 years, that have been told no, that have a chip on their shoulder, that only need like the chance? There isn't that anymore. Now you have guys that are 6 months in, maybe a year, that are so frustrated, so upset because they think they're entitled and think they deserve a big contract. So you just can't get a Ricochet who's been told no by the WWE to go on your show now. You can't get Matt Cross who's been told no to go on your show. You can't get Shane Strickland who's been told no to go on your show. You can't get. So the 30 of us or whatever it was are like, oh, no, really? Okay. And that permeated. Now, I wasn't around during ECW, but I feel like that's what I read about in the books. So it was that same thing. So there needs to be a kid starting wrestling now that's told no for the next 20 years. And in 20 years from now, whoever starts the next version of Lucha Underground, whatever that's called, or however that looks, that person will shine. But it will take 2 full decades from today, minimum, before we get something like that again. And that's what I think the future will show us, that you can't get that roster together in the same way, again, that you read about ECW and sort of that chip on their shoulder. And like, I just think of Paul Heyman beyond the mat on the stairs. Like, this is the dance. Like, F you, they're wrong. It was that. That's what we were doing in a speech, you know. That feel permeated everything, and we knew we were a part of something special. And yeah, I miss it. I miss it every day.
Talking about guys who are still active today and still at it and 20 plus years later, I'm going to bring up Bryan Danielson. That's someone that you had a long career working with in Noah in 2008. Talking about times that just don't exist between, you can tell me what happened in 2008, but not in 2018. Let's talk about 2008. Let's talk about Noah working with Bryan Danielson, and he's starting to wind down his career. Tell us some Danielson stories. And also, is there any plans for Matt Cross to start winding down anytime soon?
I'll answer that one first. No.
Glad we got
Yeah, I never even thought about it. Because, not to go back to another cliche, but wrestling is forever. Nobody quits. So I'm not even going to try. What makes me think I'm going to be the first person in wrestling's history to quit? I know better. I've been around it. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. You can't. You don't. Just endless examples. Like, because didn't he say something to the effect of like, I'm going to wind down. I still want to do 5 matches a year or whatever.
Yeah. He said this is the end of his full-time run, but after this year, I still want to do like 5 to 10 matches a year.
Yeah. So like, okay. So it's just, so the story to me is he's still wrestling. Hell yeah. Like, I'm really similar to Josh Prohibition. That's the guy that got me into wrestling. That's the guy that started me. He's still wrestling. Got a wife, a house, a kid. He's a teacher. He walked away for years, and then came back. So I knew when he came back, holy crap, like I would be the same. And I've never been away from it. I've had like 6 weekends off in 25 years. So it's like, I'm not even going to pretend that like I can walk away. Now, someday that will happen, but that'll happen. Live by the sword, die by the sword, cross that bridge when I get to it. Should I be thinking about it? 100%. Do I think about it? Absolutely not. It's easy to put off when you're like, I just wrote a song. I just booked my band to show. I'm going to go to Europe. You can kick that can down the road really easily because as an independent contractor, I can sit around and worry about the impending doom of my future, or I can get a booking in South Carolina where I've never been, and then that'll be state 47 or 48 on my quest to be the first independent wrestler to ever do all 50. I'm like, yeah, I'll focus on that instead. So again, is that going to bite me in the butt? Totally. Am I going to look back at this, laugh and regret it? Yes. But whatever. Forever onward and upward. Yeah, no, 2008 was awesome. I remember tagging with Danielson, and we're coming out. The music hits. It's the final battle, and it's Japan, so everyone's just quiet and respectful and waiting for us to come out. And we're getting ourselves amped up. And he kind of looks over at me, and he's just like so used to crowds in the U.S. like singing along and sort of participating in the music, and he's just like, "Whoa, this is really weird." Like nobody cares. I guess okay, It was such a funny moment, just highlighting the difference in the crowds. But he's such a cool guy. I remember giving him on that tour. There's like a Ghost Mice, HAJ split. These two punk bands. So you gotta check out this HAJ. They're so good. They're amazing. They're amazing. And my favorite songs by them at the time were on this split. So I give it to him, and then he is like, HAJ was good, but I liked Ghost Mice even more. And I'm just like, what? Like, that wasn't even like what you're supposed to hear. But I was like, you do? Like, this guy's awesome. And he's like kind of an anomaly in the wrestling business. Like, he very much would be like, okay, the match is done. Like, I'm going to read a book now with words, So it's just totally in his own lane, made his own path. And, I can certainly identify with that. So yeah, he's awesome. And that it's crazy because like we talked about this like decade that I lost, or however you want to frame it. It's like, I'm like, that was 2008 for sure. Hell yeah. And exactly like you noted, I'm like 2018. I'm like, did I do anything? What did I do? So funny. Yeah, I guess I saw because we had a match I'd love to see. I wrestled Marufuji in a match I'd love to see. I think I had a match with Kenta I'd love to see. It's crazy too how I was almost, I don't want to call it a victim of, but in some ways, a lot of my career was like pre-GIF and like like mega internet times. So I suffered from that because like when I was like hanging out with Ultimate Warrior, now would have been like on my Facebook Live, here's me and Warrior hitting the gym, or it's like now it's just memories that I alone have that are waiting for a book someday that no one knows. And it's like, and then I'll have these moments where I'm like, why doesn't everybody know that? I'm like, oh, there wasn't like, that wasn't a thing. Like I'm touring Australia with Hulk Hogan. We had Thanksgiving together. It's like, I don't even know if Instagram existed, or if it did, it was like in its infancy, or I didn't even have an account in 2009. So it's like, unless you just like are mega wrestling nerd, like no one knows this stuff. So yeah, like that tour of Japan. I remember, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but I remember the plane landed in Japan. It was Nigel McGuinness, Bryan Danielson, myself, and Bison Smith, or his name. Why am I blanking on that? But
Tyson Kidd?
No. Bison, the one he passed away. He was always a Noah, but American guy. Anyway, we all landed, and then like everyone gets their computer out and like instantly starts like computing. And like they were like, "Where's your computer?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't like a laptop or whatever. Like I don't even own one. Like I didn't bring one. Like what?" And they're like, "What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "What do you mean? What am I gonna do?" And like, "We're here for 3 weeks. Like you need a computer." And I was like, "Oh, I thought we were gonna hang out." Like, and it was like day one. It was like, "No, we're gonna go in our rooms and go on the internet." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I thought we were hanging out." Like, so yeah, it's like the self promotion wrestling is so big, but I'm a touch old school where I like doesn't come as natural to me because like when I started that wasn't a thing. So I'm a little envious about the kids that can do it right now.
Okay, hold on. We got to Jeremy before you go back to Hogan Thanksgiving. What?
Yeah, did the Hulkamania tour of Australia in 2009.
Yeah.
So I essentially got a call and it was like, "Do you want to go to Australia?" And I was like, "Oh my God, yes." And they're like, "Let me tell you about it. The main event is going to be Hulk Hogan." I'm like, "What?" Versus Ric Flair, who had just retired. And I'm like, "Oh, I thought this was real," So I literally was just like, "Oh, okay, sounds good." Then I remember my girlfriend at the time was in the car with me, and she's like, "What was that about?" And I was like, she didn't know what wrestling is. So I'm like, "Oh my God, somebody called me and just told me Santa Claus is wrestling the Easter Bunny, and do I want to do it?" So it was clearly BS, whatever. So I didn't even believe it when I got the call, because I just thought it was too fantastical. I'm like, Hulk Hogan's not wrestling Ric Flair every night, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then yeah, like lived it and breathed it. Like we were in Australia for 2 weeks. It was one of the best tours, if not the best tour I've ever done. Hulk Hogan was like working his butt off. Like we would have just like, okay, the next 2 days are off. So just you're in Australia, like go surfing or whatever, which I did. And then he would have to drive here and there and here and there and do this promotional event and and everyone knows who he is. He's getting swamped everywhere. It was just totally a different world where like I'd be sitting like next to him at an airport or something and everyone's getting his picture autograph. He has no time to himself. It's really crazy. And then I would see like he would walk away and some of the people would still be around. And I remember hearing people being like, "Who was that?" So there were some people that were bugging him for autographs or photos that didn't even know who he was. They just knew there was like a melee. And I was like seeing that part of fame where I'm like, man, you'd give up all your free time. And like some of the people that are taking it from you don't even appreciate it or know who you are. It's just a part of the, like, I need to be in on that too. And I was like, that's kind of wild. Like, I don't know if I was envious of like that position. Because again, he had to work of the 2 weeks we were there. He worked all 14 days. We had 4 matches and then they had these like amazing days off. So yeah, it was an incredible tour, incredible time. Loved it. And yeah, and he always took the extra time with everybody. Going into it, like I was a little Hulkamaniac, like 100%. So I'm thinking like it's Hulk Hogan. He's not gonna talk to anybody. He's gonna do his own thing. And like, awesome, I get it. I remember day one, he's just like came over, and as far as wrestling goes, like it was one of, if not the only times I was sort of starstruck because I was like standing there. I'm like, oh, Hulk Hogan's coming over. Hulk Hogan's coming over. Like, and I don't remember if he introduced himself as Terry or Hulk Hogan or whatever, but he just came over, introduced himself, and I'm like, oh, he'll do it in passing. He won't break stride. He'll be on his way. Comes, introduces himself, sort of stands there, and I'm like, oh, we're still doing it. Like, I'm like, I mean, I guess, how's it going, Hulk Hogan? And I'm like, oh, we're gonna like talk. Like, I didn't like, whoa. I remember doing one of the nights, maybe Sydney. I've got my gear on. I'm walking toward gorilla position, getting ready to go out. There's like 16,000 people. I've got my eyes closed. I'm just trying to focus. And once you're in that part, you could be anywhere in the world. You could be wrestling anywhere. That part of the process is the same. So I'm not thinking I'm in Australia. I'm not thinking I'm with Hulk Hogan. I've just got my eyes closed, trying to focus. I open my eyes. There's Hulk Hogan. And I had this moment where I'm like, that dude looks exactly like Hulk Hogan. What is going on? And why is he in gear? Like, why is he dressed up like Hulk Hogan? So in this like moment of like, what's happening? And he's like, go get him, big dog. And because I'm on next, and I'm like, I will Hulk Hogan, and I'm like, what is even happening right now? Because I'm like, how do you even respond to that? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. So I'm just like, you're used to like your buddy or whatever, and you're like, yeah, dude. Like, I was like, okay, fist bump Hulk Hogan. Like, here I go to do the wrestling. I was like, this is 100% insane. So there was a surreal touch to the whole tour.
My last one for you, Matt. You're an Ohio guy. I'm an Ohio. Ohio gets a bad rap from a lot of people who are not from Ohio. What's a good thing about Ohio? Like, if you come to Ohio, you got to check this out. Any hidden gem spots that you're a fan of?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I'm up near Cleveland, so Northeast Ohio is so underrated. People all the time are like, again, I've been to 36 countries. I've wrestled in 28. I've been to all 50 states. I've wrestled in 46 and 47. People are like, I can't believe you live in Ohio. I'm born and raised. They're like, how have you not lived here or there or wherever? I'm not saying per se that Northeast Ohio is the greatest place in the world, but I have literally seen a good portion of it. And it is, I can say without a doubt, it's underrated. People think of Ohio, I think, and only think like farms and backwoods, which sure, there are elements of that exists. But we're on, every time I ever bring someone to Cleveland, we go to Lake Erie. And when people hear lake, they think they can see the other side. They think, they're not thinking waves. They're not thinking shipwrecks. They're not thinking death. They're not thinking the other side is Canada and you're not swimming there. And so every time they're like, there's a beach. Like, we are the North Coast. So they're like, there are beaches and there's waves and there's surfers like in Ohio. Like, what's going on? And then you go to Cuyahoga Valley National Park, which I live next to, which is Ohio's only national park. And there's these ledges and waterfalls, and it looks like something you would think of when you think of like a vacation to like Vermont or New Hampshire. And I'm like, no, that's right here. There's like a majestic waterfall like right there. There are deer in my backyard every single day, raccoons, beavers, bald eagles, like just the nature, fox, coyotes, like. So I feel there's so much beautiful like nature and stuff that just people don't think about. Again, they're thinking of like just corn or something, and then when they come here and it's just like these beautiful wooded areas and then the beach in the same. Now the winters are cold, so that's part of it.
Miserable outside right now.
Yeah, the winter is going to be really cold, but it's an underrated area, and yeah, I definitely appreciate it. And just the metro parks. If you come to Cuyahoga Valley National Park and the ledges, as a quick aside, years ago when the guys were coming through, Sami Zayn, Bryan Danielson, they wanted to go to the national park, so they stopped by, picked me up, and we all went, and that was pretty amazing, and got some photos and stuff. But even those dudes like cruising through, were like, hey, we gotta come check this out. So I was like hoping we would come across some kind of wrestling fan, because it's like 11 a.m. on like a Tuesday or something. And I'm like, if there's a wrestling fan, like they're going to like, we're coming down these like stone staircases in the middle of the woods. You just be like, what? So we didn't come across anyone, but I was like, this is going to make somebody's just life. I hope we run into somebody.
Well, if they come through again and you go back here, please send me a message. My wife is freaking out about this. Like, he took him to Cuyahoga Valley National Park. Like, we need to go here. We need to just go to see if any wrestlers are going. She's saying, tell him to bring him back. So if they come back and they go back, please shoot me a message. And so my wife will be very thrilled with that.
Sami Zayn was here like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, you can't say that. Oh, Matt, you can't say that.
Every time he comes through, yeah.
I'm about to get a message of like, why did no one inform me that Sami Zayn was 20 minutes away 3 weeks ago? She's big Sami Zayn fan. So.
Same. Every time he comes through, he stops and we hang out. So it's really funny. Because I'm always thinking like, and the 3 weeks ago thing is, I don't know the times, but you guys likely will. Because I remember he stopped over, we hung out, and the next day, I see like a clip online of Punk returning, because it's the biggest thing in wrestling history or whatever. So then I'm watching this clip because I'm like, oh, no way, cool. And then in the clip, you can see in the corner the ring, and I'm like, whoa, cage match, like wild. And you see Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn, and I was like, oh wait, oh my god, like I knew he was like in the WWF, but I'm like, what? This dude's in like a cage match in the main event with Roman Reigns where Punk returns, and I'm like, we were eating, like drinking coffee yesterday, like what? So even I don't understand, like. Gargano lives here, so I was there on Sunday. Like, you sometimes forget that, like, because everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time, and then you've known these people for like your whole life. So it's just like strange because like for every guy that becomes the most famous dude of all time, another guy like doesn't do anything, but we're all doing the same thing, taking the same bumps. So everyone's like on this like sort of level playing field, and we're like, yeah, we're all dudes, like dudes. And then to the outside world, it's like. That's where the hierarchy comes in, but it's not based in like reality. It's hard to explain, but because you're like, yeah, these are all my dudes, and then you're like, whoa, some people think some of these dudes are mega cool or something, and they are, but it's just strange.
No, I get it. It's just your dorky friends. Everyone has that dorky
right. Yeah, we like literally played board games and like we're like really excited about it.
Yeah, it's just normal dudes being dudes.
Exactly.
Before we let you go, Matt, we got a game that we like to play. It's called Partner, Promo, or Punch in the Face. I pick 3 wrestlers, and you're gonna pick which one you want to partner with in a tag match, which one you want to have promo off with in the ring, and which one you want to punch in the face and have a singles match with. I'm using the Blackpool Combat Club because you've had matches with 3 of these guys in your career: Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, and Jon Moxley. Matt Cross, partner, promo, punch in the face.
Can we just like hang out in the park with all of them?
I mean, yeah, sure.
Do a book club with them.
Dude, that's so. Like, this is not in the spirit of the game at all, but like I went to Lucerne, Switzerland, where Claudio's from. In the top 3 places that I've seen in the world, it's so beautiful, genuinely breathtaking. And I remember thinking, this guy left. All of us would hope to become millionaires following our passions. And then maybe if we made it to the upper echelon of the world, we'd have enough money and enough clout and enough whatever to then move to Lucerne, Switzerland, would be the end goal of anyone on the planet. And I'm like, that's where this guy started. And he said, I'm going to leave my friends and my family and move to the United States and pursue pro wrestling via the independents. Like, he rules, and I already had so much respect for him. But when I lived that, I was like, this dude, no one can grasp that. I'm like, we need to be cheering so loud. Like, that's the craziest risk of all time. He moved to like the middle of like PA or something, like from Lucerne. So I just couldn't even, in those inevitable dark times where he's like, did I make the right choice? Like, so many of us would have been like, I'm going back to Lucerne and I'm going to look at the sunset and cry because it's so beautiful. Like, what am I doing in like central PA? Oh man. So I guess, do I want to punch him because we could have such sick matches?
Sure.
Yeah.
We had some amazing matches in a group called UWA that was out of Toronto years ago. Then in a lot of ways, I feel like Smash is like carrying their torch. They were just ahead of their time. Someday there'll be a documentary about them. It's called UWA Hardcore. They were using Okada, Ultimo Dragon, Chris Sabin, myself, Seth Rollins. If you look at the roster now, it's an unbelievable fantasy league that's 100% impossible. I've had people be like, it was an independent in Toronto. It seems unbelievable. But they, in a lot of ways, inspired Smash. And a lot of the old fans like still come to Smash shows and like, I know you from UWA, blah, blah, blah. So Claudio and I had a couple matches there that were amazing because he's amazing. So I think I want to punch him lightly because he could kill me. Only because we could have like he's like the greatest base of all time. We could have the sickest matches. So I thought that'd be the hardest one. I was like, you trying to give me heat, brother? I was like, I don't want to punch anybody, but I want to punch him because then we could have sick matches. And if I punched him as hard as I could, it probably wouldn't even hurt him. He's like invincible. So we'll punch him. I also want to wrestle Danielson, but I guess I'll tag with him just because we did tag. And I guess the whole, like, we're kind of like bearded punks. So it felt like there was it felt like it made sense. Wrestling fans often they're sort of short-sighted in the way that it's like, you have a beard, you're like Bryan Danielson, or people without the like touchstones. If you just show up at a show in West Virginia and people are like, it's like Bryan Danielson. So I've been getting that for decades already anyway. And they're not thinking, I bet he tagged with him in Japan. Because they're like, there's no way he's even met him. And like, did he get his autograph? And, they don't get it. So it's like, no, we tagged and probably should be tagging now and come out to Ghost Mice and like, let's go nuts. So just, yeah. And he's like a cool guy to travel with and we could do some cool stuff. Again, I wish we had a singles match in Japan that I loved. And it's like, I don't even know if it was filmed, like, I'd love to see it. So I guess I will tag with him. He's a great mind for wrestling. So that leaves me to promo with Moxley, which is cool because he's an Ohio guy too, right? So
Yep.
I remember wrestling him in like Chillicothe, Ohio, which is like the original capital of Ohio. And then he was like, we got to get you down in HWA, brother, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, maybe it's kind of far. And then it was like trajectory takeoff for him, which is, sick because Ohio, man. Like I always say, we're horrible at real sports, but like we kill it when it comes to pro wrestling.
Right,
like
yeah,
Ohio,
the lineage of wrestlers from Ohio is second to none almost.
and I feel like we like grew up in this space where it's like the drive, the catch, the shot. It's like you lose, you suck. Not only do you lose, but it's always in the most heartbreaking, horrible, like movie way, like just rips your soul out, like like that's what we're bred in. So I feel like collectively it was like, no, man, we got to rise above this. Like we can either succumb to that and be like, man, this is dark. Like there are movies like Major League made about how much we suck. like there's like this like generational cultural trauma. So I feel like on a subconscious level, we've collectively been like, no, dude, like here we go. So to see, like Gargano and stuff, like rise above and like, he's obviously killing it. He's going to kill it way more for a lot longer. And when he eventually makes it to like the top and they do his like full story thing with WWE's production, it's going to be so good. Like I was at the places he was living coming up. Just wait till you see these places. Like this dude came from nothing. And I don't know if that story has been told. Like just there's rough Cleveland stuff. And it's like, but again, I feel like that was this subconscious motivation that like the Miz is at Normandy High School and Dolph Ziggler's wrestling at Kent State. And like, we just lived and breathed this environment that I think ties into like, no, dude, because it's got to be statistically an outlier of like, why is Ohio like, not that wrestlers don't come from other places, but again, that's like the statistic numbers based on population, et cetera. It's like, there's a weirdly large amount, which is awesome. So like, hell yeah. So yeah, I guess I'll promo with Jon Moxley and set up some AW Man Events brother.
Thank God. That was fantastic. Matt Cross, we're going to catch you this Sunday at Smash Wrestling's Any Given Sunday 10. Go check that out. He's going to face Von Vertigo, a match that's 10 years in the making. Very much looking forward to seeing that and hearing all about it. Get your tickets. If you want to go, you can either walk up to the venue at London Music Hall or go to smash-wrestling.com and go get your tickets now. Matt, before we let you go, is there anything you want to plug and get out of the way?
Oh, yeah. Please check out wrestlingisforever.com. Like we talked about throughout the interview, I came up with the idea, but then I almost stopped myself because I was like, well, clearly you need a website for that. I don't know how to do website, and which is an excuse and a good excuse. But then I've had that moment with myself where I'm like, good excuses are still excuses. Like you can figure it out, especially in the age of YouTube and this and that. So I had to put in the work and it sucked. I was like, I feel like I'm back in school. Like I specifically became a wrestler so I could wake up at noon, not wear a tie, and not go to school. And then I'm like doing all this work and I'm like, I'm in school. This is horrible. So there was work involved, but I created the website, by myself, like created this whole thing. So it's just me. I remember ordering from a Punk mail order back in the day. And there was a band called 25 to Life. They're kind of horrible, but whatever. The singer is this crazy guy, Rick to Life. I bought a t-shirt. I'm a little kid, right? So it comes in the mail, and Rick to Life wrote, "Thank you, Rick." And it blew my little kid mind, because in my mind, anyone that you know about is Hulk Hogan famous. So I'm like, Rick to Life had the time to write me a personal thank you note? Like, this is bigger than the president. Like, this is, the president signs stuff all the time. I'm like, Rick to Life is busy, man. Like, so that stuck with me. So if you order something from me that I designed, that I stock behind me, after this interview, I've got an order next to me that I will fold up, and then I'm going to the post office later today. So I'm shipping the stuff out personally. So it's just that connection between, because I think that gets lost. You know, if you order something from Roman Reigns, that dude's not going to the post office. You know what I'm saying? But again, as a Punk, it only made sense. I've had offers of people to buy it. Now, we could do all that for you. And I'm like, yeah, you could, but like, then I'm only going to be loosely aware of the orders. It's going to be like some number at the end of the month. And I like that connection of like, when I get the email that I had an order that I have to pack up, I'm like, yeah, like, this is sick. Like people cast a vote to go to All In and create an alternative. I think they're casting a vote for me. So I'm like, I appreciate that. Like, even when I'm folding the shirts, it's ridiculous because who cares? But I'm like, it's so careful, as if they're going to know, like, this was folded really carefully. But I put, like, there's that layer of love in it. So, and without it, I don't know if I could, I'd have to, like, you know, work at Quiznos or something. So, please check out WrestlingIsForever.com. It keeps me going. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Good luck this weekend. And thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
We'll see you next time. There you go. Matt Cross.
Matt Cross, everybody. Oh, that was so much fun. He was super generous with his time. We nearly an hour with Matt.
Yeah. Like, what are we going to do now?
Well, I got to preview Dynamite.
Do you?
Yes.
Do you really?
The people want the Dynamite preview, Joel.
I guess. But thank you, by the way. Thank you to Smash. Thank you to Matt for joining us for nearly an hour. That's given me a lot of work to do. Got a lot of notes to take, so that'll be fun.
I don't want to hear it. I got to transcribe so much from that. The thing is like Matt has had such a long career and has like done so much. Like, you know, he mentioned Hulk Hogan just had Thanksgiving with him, Australia. And then you look it up and he does this whole tour. He wrestled Shannon Moore like during this tour and stuff. So he had a story about that. He has stories about dancing. He has done so much. That's great. Like, we did an hour and I still don't feel like we touched on like everything we could have possibly touched on with Matt.
What's really funny is what I wanted to get out of him was like, did you have Thanksgiving dinner with Hulk Hogan? And like, I should have said, like, did you guys have Thanksgiving dinner? Like, what was that? Because like, what was Hulk eating at Thanksgiving, brother?
Turkey legs, brother.
Just turkey legs.
Nothing but turkey legs.
Dark meat. Anyway, let's talk Dynamite. It's homecoming tonight. We won't spoil anything, but there have been reports about
I already said it. I said it on the show last week what was going to happen.
I said it too. It makes sense.
Watch the show. We tell you everything before you need to know.
That's true. We know before you. I even had a full-on conversation on the texts with Andrew Zarian about what's going on tonight on the show. I knew before he did because I am professional. Jeremy Lambert.
What's happening on the show, Joel? Please tell me.
I don't know. Let's go find out. AEW Dynamite. Today is just do the thing.
No, text me what's happening. What's supposed to happen on this show?
I did nothing. Literally nothing. That's the problem.
What do you mean literally nothing?
It's going to be 2 hours of them standing in the ring saying hi to each other.
That'd be a good show, actually. Hope it's 2 hours of Tony Khan tweeting.
It's just him in the back.
Show the screen. Show the tweet on the screen.
Is Tony in the ring, or is there like a...
Nah, he's in the ring. He's in the ring, like on the phone, like in the chair. This is the call out. And, you know, Bischoff is trying to call out to fight Vince McMahon. He shows up. This is how you call somebody out in 2024. You sit in the ring in the chair, and then you're on your phone. You show it up on the big screen that it's a tweet. That's how you do it in 2024.
See, I would just have a picture-in-picture throughout the entire night, like box in box of Tony tweeting, and then they throw whenever he would press send, the tweet would then magically show up on the screen for everyone to see.
Triple H, you said you're gonna buy this pissant company. You don't have enough money, bitch. That's the tweet.
Send tweets. Okay, let's talk about Homecoming tonight. What's on the program, Tony?
We got a great show for everybody tonight. One of the best AEW Dynamites ever, live on TBS at 8 p.m. Eastern. It is AEW Dynamite Homecoming. We are back in Daly's Place, Jacksonville, Florida, home of AEW during the pandemic. We would not be here today if it wasn't for Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida, hosting AEW Dynamite during the pandemic. And we're going to put on a tremendous show, one of the best shows ever for our fans, live tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, AEW Dynamite, TBS. We have, in honor of the late, great Brody Lee, one of his proteges, Anna Jay, will team up with Thunder Rosa, Chris Statlander, and Willow Nightingale to take on Julia Hart, Sky Blue, Soraya, and Ruby Soho. We will also honor Brody Lee as his other protege, Preston Vance, will team up with Adam Copeland, Orange Cassidy, Dustin Rhodes to take on Brian Cage, Lance Archer, Toa Leona, and Khan. We are honoring the late, great, the greatest AEW TNT champion ever, Brody Lee. He made his home in Daly's Place. He was a big part of Daly's Place. He debuted in Daly's Place. His last match was in Daly's Place. Daly's Place honors the late, great Brody Lee, the greatest AEW TNT champion of all time. Tonight, live, 8 p.m. Eastern, AEW Dynamite Homecoming. Plus, Claudio Castagnoli takes on Hangman Page. Hangman Page has been looking for a fight. Claudio Castagnoli is willing to give him that fight, live tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, AEW Dynamite, TBS. Also, we got one of the pillars, Sammy Guevara. He's going to take on one half of the AEW Tag Team Champions, Ricky Starks, ahead of their big clash this Saturday at AEW Battle of the Belts. Who will gain the momentum? Will it be Sammy Guevara as he and Chris Jericho team up this Saturday at AEW Battle of the Belts, live 10 p.m. Eastern on TNT, to take on Ricky Starks and Big Bill in a street fight for the AEW Tag Team Championships? That's Battle of the Belts this Saturday. Tonight, AEW Dynamite, 8 p.m. Eastern, live TBS. It'll be Sammy Guevara and Ricky Starks. It's going to be a great matchup in the singles division. Two homegrown AEW stars returning to Daly's Place, where Ricky Starks made his debut, where Sammy Guevara made his name. Daly's Place, AEW Dynamite, 8 p.m. Eastern, AEW Dynamite Homecoming, TBS, 8 p.m. Eastern. Plus, we will see and hear from the new AEW World Champion, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe comes to Daly's Place to speak for the first time live as the AEW World Champion. What will Samoa Joe have to say after he ended MJF's historic reign? Tune in tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, AEW Dynamite Homecoming, live on TBS. All of that, plus, and a Tornado Tag Team match. One of the biggest matches we've ever had in AEW history. It'll be the Don Callis family, Konosuke Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs, after Takeshita's big victory over Darby Allin last week. They issued the challenge. It's going to happen. It'll be Takeshita and Hobbs taking on Darby Allin. And it's Sting! Sting coming back to Daly's Place, where he made his debut years ago during the pandemic. At AEW Winter is coming. Sting, and what will likely be his last match at Daly's Place. You will not want to miss it, where Sting made his AEW debut. Daly's Place Winter is coming 2020. At AEW Homecoming 2023, Sting's last match in Daly's Place. He teams with Darby Allin to take on Takeshita, to take on Powerhouse Hobbs. It's a tornado match. You don't want to miss it. The only way you can watch it is to tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern, live on TBS. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be one of the best Dynamites of the year. It's always a treat to return to Daly's Place, such a great home for AEW, arguably AEW's home, and that is why it is AEW Dynamite Homecoming tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, TBS. We got a tremendous show for everybody. Thank you to our great partners at Warner Brothers Discovery. We might have another 5-minute overrun tonight. You got to tune in to AEW Dynamite at 8 p.m. Eastern to see if we go not to 10 p.m. Eastern, but to possibly 10:05 p.m. Eastern, because our great partners at Warner Brothers Discovery. It's been a great week, at AEW. It's been a great week for AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery. It's been a great year for AEW, and we're going to continue that great year tonight live, 8 p.m. Eastern, TBS, AEW Dynamite, Homecoming, fuck Jinder Mahal. Thank you to all the great AEW fans. Justified, this is awesome chance.
Christian has a chance to do something nuts tonight. I have nothing to add to that other than yes. Anything else to plug?
No, the show's on Friday. SP3 will be here. We'll have fun.
There we go. We had fun today. Jody Threat was great. So was M-Dog Matt Cross. We'll have the cutouts of those and more, I'm sure. I'm not here Friday. SP3 is. I'm going to go over to SP3.
Joel, what if I do this new gimmick when I drink the water bottle? I just thought of this. I drink it and I like tickle.
Oh, yeah, you do that? That looks a little bit like Shawn Michaels. Whose gimmicks are we taking now?
I don't know. You know, I do the Kenny Omega, but sometimes you got to create your own bits here. Do your own thing. Shout out to the great Kenny Omega, but I might have come up with a new way to drink water.
Good luck to you. Anyway, we'll be back on Friday.
Yeah,
I'm
take
gonna
that, Action Andretti.
Yeah, I'm going to go hop over to True Heel Heat. We're going to go preview TNA's Hard to Kill. But yes, Jeremy and SP3 will be here. I'm going to go order lunch because I'm just up shit's creek now. I'm at Joel Pearl, JOLPERL. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, we will see you on Friday. Take care.